Set up for maximum confrontation and super opinionated debates. The NUFC Late Night Show with Chris the American Man, Derek the Matey West, and the rest of the panel, Monday through Thursday from 9:30 p.m. UK and UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
Good evening. Welcome, one and all. We've encountered something problematic.
And there's no comments.
We will be with, obviously, all of you very soon. We're just waiting for a couple of the panels.
If anyone can actually see us, can you let us know in the comments, please?
Well, I've got 13 watching now, so that's come up on my little eye. So there's somebody out there. There you go. Hello, says Wazza. Thank you, Wazza. Like I say, apologies to everybody out there in Viewerland, and also those that are listening on radio. It's crazy. It's crazy setup. Completely lost my train of thought now. Welcome, one and all. Anyway, we are Wednesday, the 11th of February, and we are with you talking about all Newcastle, obviously. Got the win yesterday. I've got myself, the Geordie Yam Yam. We've got Mighty Win. We've got Christina Tooney. We've got Boki, the usual panelists with me on the early part of the show. We did try the early part, and if it's confused you, we had to move to a different time schedule. Hence, you saw the Chris, the American Mag, and the 9:30. So it is us. We are on the early show. Like I said, apologies. Before we start. But like I said, if I can ask you to make it better, because I'm wounded, I'm a wounded soldier now, make it better by hitting the like button. Sign up if you haven't already. We'd love you to subscribe, because obviously it helps us go forward. And if you want to know when we are live, smash the bell button, because that will always tell you that we are coming at you live and mighty. Different setup, like I say, for tonight, because, like I say, I've been looking into some of the questions that people have been throwing out there, and some of the players that Newcastle should look at getting gone out of the door, and some of the players that they should have another contract. So we're going to have a touch on that as well. It's just going to be, like I say, a bit of a deep dive into all the bits and pieces as we see it. So, like I say, welcome one and all, and good evening. The only place where Newcastle United can win 2-1 and then spend 45 minutes arguing about the left back. This is NUFC Talk Radio. Tonight we're diving into tactics, transfers, injuries, and whether we're building a dynasty or just emotionally preparing ourselves for mild chaos. We'll talk big performances, bigger rumours, and the small matter of whether we can defend set pieces without giving the nation collective heart palpitations. Strap in. This is going to be a lively one. Yesterday, we won 2-1 down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And obviously this morning, we all got the news that Thomas Frank departed ways. We said it was a 6-pointer before the start of the game, and it actually felt like a 6-pointer because it really was two sides still trying to find best form. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur haven't won a game in 26, so his tenure was really short and brief. Was he 8 months in seat?
Allegedly, I heard a thing on, I think it was Sky, one of the Sky journalists who they get in on the late night thing, and he said he's got the worst stats of any Premier League manager ever.
Yeah. It was a crazy.
Takes some doing.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, like I said, it was a. I mean, you could see they hadn't really got a clue, and you look on paper, they'd got some decent players still on the field of play, but again, Conor Gallagher, who everybody, well, not everybody, but there was a lot of talk about whether it'd be useful at Newcastle. Didn't look like he knew how to lace a boot yesterday, to be fair, never mind kick a ball. But again, he's that tactical. He was playing out of position somewhat, but he just looked all over the place, if I'm honest with you. Newcastle set up at the start, and there was a lot of questions. One from myself about, you look at literally across all areas of the field, and you've got players that playing out of position. Dan Burn, left back. Should Trippier still play? right back, having played multiple games back to back. He looked like his legs had gone. But I thought he did okay yesterday. I mean, Dan Burn did go running, did go obviously on a bit of a march going forward, and we were left open a couple of times for Odegaard to try and get in behind us. But it seems as though that door was closed on a regular basis. And I wanted to ask you guys, we see a lot of opposition coaches, right, that are barking instructions from the sidelines when something just ain't happening. Don't really see Eddie doing that. Mad Dog sometimes, like I say, we've even seen Eddie ask Graham Jones to start talking to the forward line when it ain't working. Why do you think Eddie takes a step backwards sometimes when he's trying to get instructions across to the field of play?
Can I just quickly pick up on Wynn's point there about Frank being the worst Premier League, having the worst Premier League record ever? That can't possibly be true. Surely there's been teams that have been relegated on 7 points. He can't be the worst ever
No, I think
manager in the
accumulated
Premier
points. I think accumulated
They might have had
points in his
multiple
team.
managers, I suppose. Like I know Derby did, but it's in the for the number of games in a single run, single span. I don't know what his record was. Let me have
Well,
a
like I
quick
say,
look.
I think I call in VR on that fact as well. But just quickly on
Well,
the point
don't blame me. I think it was Henry Winter
I think
on,
Henry
on,
Winter.
on Sky last night.
I'm calling it Henry Winter, in which case I don't think that's right. Just quickly on Eddie Howe, he's never going to be that type of manager. That's not his style. His style is to be cool and collected on the sideline and make his notes and, get his point across to players at half time while he intensely watches the game. As you say, I think Tyndall's job and Graham Jones's job is more to be the people shouting at the players and going at them from the bench. And I think Howe sometimes does do it, but I think he's much more of a sort of a sit back and watch what's actually happening rather than. I think sometimes when managers do that, they actually lose what's happening in the game. That they don't see, because they're so into it, they don't see what's happening. Where I think Eddie's wanting to step slightly back and, as I say, make his notes and get sort of get the feeling of what's going on the pitch.
So in that situation, then, would you not think it would be much better? I mean, like I say, there's 4 of us on the panel tonight. We all having a different approach to even this, if you like. So if I was the coach of you guys and I shut up, I could just let you get on with it.
That would be dangerous.
Lovely.
So me and Bob have a different reaction.
Being very facetious. No, I mean, if that was the situation, though, right? Would you not be better off in the stands and just get your phone out and say, "Listen, I'm watching the game. This is what I can see. Can you get the point across to the lads because it ain't happening?"
No, I mean he clearly takes a lot of notes, and I would say that he's the one that's kind of orchestrating things. And you see him and Jason talking all the time. So I'd imagine whatever Jason shouts is being like those strings are being pulled by Eddie Howe. But Eddie's just, I mean, listen to Eddie Howe speak. Can you imagine him shouting at players? I mean, that would be the equivalent of me shouting at you lot, like, "Come on!" Like it's not going to work. It's just I don't have the voice for it. And I think Eddie's quite a soft-spoken guy, and you got to remember he's also been through quite a serious illness. So I don't think that he's probably got the bass in his voice to deliver the point that he wants, but he can tell Jason or he could tell whoever else it is that's barking those orders exactly what's going to be said. I doubt that Jason Tyndall ever brings it on his own gumption to start shouting anything without first checking with Eddie Howe.
Well, I mean, he got another yellow card yesterday, didn't he? So
can I just quickly say, because I thought of a great line here: why have a mad dog and bark yourself?
Perfect line.
Oh, if only I had Chrissy's soundboard. That would have been, yeah, exactly. That would have been one off the post. Mighty Win, you're quiet. What's your thoughts? Are you trying to sort things out in the background there?
I'll show you exactly.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to find this Mr. Winters
No,
point of view. I think.
what it is, I think, is his record as Tottenham's
Tottenham
manager's Premier League win ratio. So you had Conte on 57, Pochettino on 56, Mourinho 47, Espirito Santo 50, Postecoglou 41, and Thomas Frank 27%.
So Tottenham's least impressive manager.
Yeah.
I think Borky
Yeah,
thought you meant like the worst manager in Premier League history.
We did see a Premier League game, Tina, to be fair.
Yeah, he did.
No,
I mean, I did say, you could see there was I mean, they haven't been right since they got rid of Pochettino, have they?
That was a stupid decision, that wasn't it?
They have. They just have. There just seems to be one through the front door, one through the back door situation, and it's now they've been singing for the board for a few months now, and I think it's just going to get worse. And look, we spoke yesterday before the game, and we said, this could go either way. This toss of a coin, as in, if Newcastle lost with everything that's happened before, do you think Eddie'd be under the same umbrella this morning?
Well, I think he'd be under a lot of pressure. I think by virtue of the fact that we've got to go to Karabakh and we've got Aston Villa we've got a Villa at the weekend and then Karabakh, it would be a bit of a leap of faith for them to take, I think. But I think you can say the same about Thomas Frank. I would have thought that they've got Arsenal coming up at the weekend. Do they seriously think that getting rid of Frank's going to help them beat Arsenal at the weekend?
Well, I think that was a tough shout. Whoever's in line. I mean, we've struggled. They're probably the best team I've seen this season, if I'm honest with you.
Is there remember the caretaker manager? Was it Mason somebody? The younger one? I wonder if he'll step into the breach again.
Yeah,
at the end of the season,
there was a bit of a bounce from him. It's very similar to what's happening at Manchester United, isn't it? With Carrick going on board, they've got that little bit of a bounce from that change. It looks like we've upset somebody. Lawrence Gill, he's saying statement win. Obviously, Spurs had 11 first-team players out. Get a grip. Well, we had the same situation not so long back.
Can I explain why it's a statement win still? Because I know a lot of people have been mentioning, okay, it's only Tottenham, don't get too excited, why are you celebrating? We have lost to worse teams this season than Tottenham, and especially away from home, and that's why it's still a statement win.
Well, it's not only that.
Right, so you're saying it's a statement win. I have never said it was a statement.
I don't think I've seen a worse team than that Tottenham team that we've played this season so far.
No,
the Tottenham team was absolutely awful. And I think it proves the fact that he deserved to get sacked straight after the game. And I'm not taking away from it. You can only beat what's in front of you. So I'm not taking away from the win whatsoever there.
Exactly. And that's what I said. We've had issues with players out. I mean, we still haven't got a full strength squad now. We're playing players that have played week in, week out in multiple competitions. So it's not a statement win for me. As Tina's just said there, we've won, but really struggled to win against Wolves. We've got a draw with Burnley. We only beat 2-1. As you quite right. I thought it was 2-1.
No, Bruno, remember?
Oh, Bruno, yeah.
Courtesy of Dubravka.
Yeah. Let him have one, didn't he? Leeds, another one, only just beat. So all of the teams that have been struggling themselves, Newcastle this season have really struggled themselves. So, it was one of those moments before the game that when you looked at our side, now, the reasons why I'm saying this is when I look at their side, even though, yes, they've got multiple players missing, on paper, that is still a very strong side. When you looked at that squad yesterday, it was, there's a couple of players that I always question. Dragusin and Archie Gray playing right back. Obviously, that's a guy out of position. But we've had to do the same. Miley playing right back. So sometimes you do have to bite the bullet a little bit and just say, unfortunately, Frank Thomas's tactics just didn't work with Tottenham Hotspur, because whatever he tried to do, regardless of who you've got in the squad, it certainly didn't work at all. And you're right, Bowkey. For me, that was potentially the worst Spurs team I have ever seen. Tactically set up, I mean, totally struggle. I mean, if it wasn't for a couple of decisions that went away, and I must admit, I have to applaud Willock with his social media snippet after the game when he says, "If I only had have had my hair cut, I'd have got a goal tonight." So, and again, you know, I still can't understand that decision. If I'm honest with you, I was aghast with that, why that wasn't allowed. And I know they said somebody said even with the 5 centimeter rule, he was still offside. And I'm like, I don't know. It was too close to call for me if you're going to play that area.
Fantastic finish, though.
Listen, he took it well, and yet, you know, I was, again, you talk about shocks, and this is why I keep saying about the likes of certain platforms where you get your information from. I looked at SofaScore yesterday and looked at who they'd got us at doing the, you know, as the lineup and the player of the match and everything else. And they had Willock at 5.8.
What?
5.8. Now, I didn't think he had a stellar performance, but I don't think he was the worst player on the park. Do you?
No, well, you do know with SofaScore that if he'd scored or had an assist, that would have become 8 or 8.2 or something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I don't use them.
Absolutely. Yeah. But just out of interest, the Spurs starting 11 last night against us, what do you think that total transfer cost was?
Oh,
£3.50.
And a bag of scratchings. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
270 million.
£308 million.
Three what, sorry?
£308 million.
That was going to be my next guess.
17 Vicario, 26 million Dragerson. Xavi Simmons is on loan, so he's not even included. Basuma 25, Archie Gray 40, Solanke 65, Conor Gallagher 45, Jed Spence 12.5, Odebear 20 million, Papi Sarr 15, and Van der Ven 43. So it's hardly a team of rejects, is what I'm saying.
No, but I mean, like I said, sometimes you names on piece of paper, you don't play on paper. We've heard it all before, but names on paper, if you're playing players slightly out of tune, out of position, or haven't been playing for a long time, we've seen how Elanga's struggled, and it was nice to see Elanga starting to do something. I mean, I still didn't think it was a fantastic performance. I didn't think our front three were potentially excellent last night. You know, they were all at a standard where they worked hard, they worked for the team. But again, you know, you get a centre half scoring and a midfielder. It just proves that you've got to share your goals across the entire team. And when we only had Voltemada scoring goals, it seems very much as though he was the only one that could hit the onion sack. Nobody else was contributing. Now it seems the other way. None of the attackers seem to be able to get a goal for love nor money, but it's been chipped in everywhere else. But I must admit, I thought Malik Chow, the way he took his goal, was excellent because it was just the fact that he wanted. Go on.
Just picking up on that fact of how much Tottenham squad was. You said 300 and how much win? 307 million?
308.
Ours was the team we put out was 350 million, just from back of the packet fame prices.
I'm just waiting for those coming through, because the trouble is the one that I've got for us includes Ramsdale, Livramento, Hall, and none of them played. The team they've put for me, but the actual Tottenham players are correct, as we know, because I went through them individually.
Yeah. I think ours is about 300 and at least 330 to 350 million.
I don't like I say. I don't think it really.
Differs.
We all know. We all know we've overspent in the summer to get these players on board. And like I say, the biggest problem, as we've seen, is they've not really done a great deal for us. I thought Ramsey did well yesterday. I thought he did well. Like I say, I'm sure for me, Joe Willock didn't play that bad. I mean, you could see he'd hit a wall, and his legs just wouldn't carry him any further. But the player next to him. Is Conor Gallagher, who's the worst player on the park. So he come back with a. Sorry, it was Spence, who everybody was bawling at me in the chat about Spence, saying Elanga won't beat him. He's the fastest defender or fullback. And I must admit, I didn't see. I like Spence. I thought he was a good player, but again, didn't turn up yesterday at all. Or the players around him certainly didn't turn up. Then Conor Gallagher, according to the reports.
So just for you, Bogey, Newcastle 298 million. Pope, Trippier, Pope 10, Trippier 12, Chow 35, Botman 35, Dan Burn 13, Bruno 35, Jacob Ramsey 35, Joe Willock 25, Elanga 55, and Anthony Gordon 45, Harvey Barnes 38.
Becca still thinks that Eddie Howe will be let go in the summer. The fact that he didn't get him any signings in January niggles me. I mean, like I say, I think a little bit of support
that's a topic in itself. We could discuss that because we had all of the opposing comments that were made at the time when we had Hopkinson coming out and saying there was money there. He was talking to Ross Wilson every day. They looked at multiple possibilities and still didn't sign anyone. Eddie Howe at almost every press conference saying he was waiting for injuries, but with money being tight, he wasn't expecting anybody to come in. And it's who do you believe?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like everything else, isn't it? We've heard it all before. I mean, it took them 9 months to revisit the crest. It looks like they're looking now into the designs, and that's a season long in football, if you like. And again, they've not really made a decision one way or the other, but they are looking at the crest again, as if that's important, if I'm honest with you. And I suppose it is to a way because of the new kit. And talking of the new kit, what do you think of it? If that is the new kit, have you seen it, Win?
I haven't seen it, no.
This is the barcode one.
Yeah, I mean,
I love the barcode.
I know you. I say you loved the barcode before, didn't you?
Yeah,
no, definitely not.
I was gutted when I lost that.
Just pulling back on what Win was saying there about Eddie Howe and the different communications coming out of the club. Did you guys think that in regards to that, until the new director of football and CEO appoint their own choice as manager, there's always going to be this little bit of not a split as such, but a little bit of confusion over exactly what's happening? Because I think the next person that comes in isn't going as manager or coach isn't going to have as much control as Eddie has. So is it a case of we need to get somebody else in because we need everyone to be pulling in the same direction?
Again, I think it's that double-edged sword, isn't it? You've seen what happens. For me, the end of the season, there's got to be a question over a number of things. Because, like I said, for me, there's no way the CEO should have said what he said, if I'm honest with you. Not in our current plight. Because we haven't got a squad depth deep enough to go and play in every competition and give 100%. It's virtually impossible to do and to achieve. And the problem is, for us, where we want the Premier League to be your next bounce, if you like, to get champion or European football again, it's still within touching distance. But for every game you lose, the expectations are that you're looking for other teams to also lose for you to catch up, and sometimes that doesn't happen. Everybody's confident that the running is easy or easier, but I didn't think when me and Win was watching the fixtures come out at the start of the season, we said the February fixture was always going to be where we are, because of the amount of away games that we've got. It was always going to be tough. I just didn't expect the start of the season to be as poor as we've seen it, and I think that's where the pressure's been for me. I thought if you'd have gone through this period in February and picked up the odd win here, there, whatever, then it doesn't look so bad. Because, like I say, the running is a little bit better. But when you start the way we have and you're still trying to tread water going forward now into this really tough period, you are relying on games around you, teams around you, to also struggle. But that seems to be the season. It just seems as though this season, everybody and anybody can lose points to anyone. And Everton have been on a really good vein of form recently, and they go and lose to Bournemouth, who again seem to have lost their way a little bit under Areola. But they have a player sent off in the end, to be fair. But you've still got to win. How many times have we struggled against 10 players? Aston Villa start the season. You didn't look like you could buy a goal. You did everything else apart from it, the onion sack. And I think that has been the main point for us. That start without a striker, with the Isaac scenario, I think that really did put a bit of a problem with Eddie Howe and the team. And I think from those first 3 games, you're always playing catch up, and that doesn't help. And maybe that's the reasons why they're being a bit more lenient with him, because there is more behind the scenes than we all know. I mean, we don't know how this Isaac scenario affected the whole crew rather than just Eddie Howe and the coaches, how much it affected everybody else. How much did it affect not having a CEO? How much did it affect not having a DOF? So is it stability, they're looking for at the background level before they then start looking at what we can do on field of play? Because that, to me, seems to be where Hopkinson, even though he talks the talk and he's obviously looking for this being the best club in 2030, there has to be the right people in the background first to sail the ship forward, surely.
I think this summer's going to be where we find out a lot of these answers. I think if Eddie Howe is the man who Hopkins and the new backroom staff are going to go forward with, then he stays in his job, and we finally see what happens with a full summer having the correct backroom staff in place. Hopefully no more turmoil in regards to star players hanging on. Board comes over and then he still leaves. Hopefully not starting the season without a player in a certain position. Although ironically, the best striker we've had over the past few games has actually worked out to be Anthony Gordon, which is kind of ironic. But I think if Eddie Howe is not the man for PIF or for Hopkinson, then we're going to find out this summer. Like, as soon as the season ends, that's where we're going to see the decision made, and all of these questions are going to be answered then.
But do you guys trust that if we give Eddie Howe the money this season, this transfer window, so we're going to the same transfer window as we did last season, do we trust that him and Wilson are going to bring in the right players? Do we end up with another situation like we have this season where, I mean, it looks like we've wasted 120 odd million on 2 strikers?
Yeah, but
It's
it's
really
like,
disappointing.
It looked as though we'd wasted 100 million on Alanga and Ramsey, but the last few games have changed that opinion.
What you have to think of, especially with Wissa, I mean, I think Voldemort will always get money. He's a German international. We'll always get more money on Nye or more money back on him over the next few seasons. So if he doesn't work out, then we're not going to lose a fortune on him. Wissa, he turns 30 this next year. Does he fill you with any confidence at the minute?
30 is not ancient, man.
It's not. It is for a striker now.
It's not,
strike.
well, tell that to Harry Kane.
Well, but there's always going to be one-offs. But look at
Tell that to Lewandowski.
have we got another Wilson on our hands? Have we got another injury-prone player?
He's never been injured before. He got crocked.
But is his age now? As a striker, your body is put on the line week in, week out. And as you get older, we all know as you get older, your body starts to change.
He's
It's
a
beginning to
wiry
look like
little
a good.
Congolese. He'll come good. Trust me.
No,
The same as Alanga's come
it's a
good.
worry
The same
that
as Lamptey's coming
we've
good.
spent. No, but it's a worry that we've spent £55 million on that player. And as I see he turns 30, are we ever going to get anything out of him?
Well,
Well,
let's remember though
let's
that
wait and see.
so those signings that we've made, especially at the towards the end of the transfer list, this was all done without the scout, the DOF, all of that wasn't in place. This was Eddie Howe, and kind of having to pull together some people to go out there and get some sort of player so that we didn't go through the full first half of the season without a centre forward. Well, except Willa Sula, obviously. So I think with an actual proper summer with everybody working together, I think we probably do a lot better in the transfer market. And to be fair, the players that we've signed, Walter Mara, I'm not writing him off yet by a long shot.
No.
Alanga has started looking extremely exciting. And JJ Ramsey has really started to play well in the last few games as well. And let's not forget, Malik Chow was brought in this transfer window as well. And I would love to see anybody say that Malik Chow is not an exciting centre back and probably the first choice centre back alongside Botman for the next 7 to 10 years, maybe. I've probably overshot there a little bit.
Can I just pick you up quickly on that too, Christina? In regards to Elanga, he had such a poor start that I think we're seeing glimpses of him doing some good things, but he's still not playing absolutely brilliant. He's not blowing me frock up at all. He's not, sort of the best player on the pitch ever. So yes, he's getting better, but it's from a very low starting point. So that's the issue with him.
Bit like the Toon, isn't
Yeah, a bit. But the two strikers, we spent £125 million plus on two strikers, and neither of them are now playing games. What does that say to you? What does that prove? It proves that we bought a Premier League proven striker because we wanted to have Eddie wanted a Premier League proven striker, and we bought a German international, and neither of them fit with style of football, and neither of them can get in the team now. It's a waste of money if you look at it seriously. I don't see anybody can come on here and say that them signings weren't a waste of money. Ramsey, I'll give you in regards to the last game or two, he has shown that he can play in that position. But the point of it there is, why the hell wasn't he rotating with Joe Linton in games earlier in the season? And we might not be in the situation now where Joe Linton's injured.
So David Eddie has actually just made a perfect comment, which was exactly where I was going to go with this answer. And he says, I remember when Henry and Bergkamp took a season to settle in at Arsenal. Do you remember Thierry Henry turning up as a left winger who couldn't hit a onion sack with he couldn't hit anything? And I don't know if you've heard of Thierry Henry, but he turned out to not be too bad a signing for Arsene Wenger eventually. So I would say Walter Morak and Alanga especially could turn into absolute. I've got a lot of faith in Alanga. I see something in him that I like.
Turn into ballers. I mean, listen, I don't think when you look at the amount of good that we've brought into the side, there ain't going to be every transfer window, especially the scrutiny that Newcastle are under with PSR, where we've not been able to get into windows for three transfer windows. So with this one being the one that was opened, I think there was a lot of probably knee-jerk reaction signings. Some you've got right, some you've got wrong, but that's the gamble. And I think if you look at the ones, and again, you look at the ones that have gone elsewhere, how many out of all of them have hit the ground running there? The Šeško's, he's not really done a lot, has he, at Manchester United? They're really doing well. He's not really hitting the form. And he's in a good side that's got a bit of stability now under new regime. So you can see, with Umbremo, he can make any striker look good, and that's the problem. And I think that was Wissa. I think Wissa is like the Isaac Murphy situation. Murphy made Isaac probably the goals that Isak got, the record that Isak got, was delivered by other players. And I think, as good as Isak was in front of goal, because he can create as well, that's why at times when he looked isolated, it was because he didn't want to do anything. His mental approach to the game wasn't there. When he wanted to do something, you could see a totally different player against a lot of the bigger clubs. So again, you've got to look at it from every aspect. And like I say, I don't think you can just look at this window and say Eddie's got it wrong. You're not going to get every single one. I don't know of a manager, and I've been racking my brains while you were talking. I've put into the chat about how many. Is there a manager that has got everything right for every transfer window? And even the Sir Alex got a lot wrong, but he was lucky because he got the lads coming up from the academy.
Harry, the big selling point Eddie Howe at this club, and these two guys talk about it all the time, is Eddie Howe is the guy that comes in and can develop. Sorry, that just seen something in the chat. Can develop players, can develop players, and he's the one that can move players' careers on and do things. What's he take Joe at the situation? What's he done for any signing that we've brought in this summer that's developed them players? If anything, all of them look like they've regressed. They've all went backwards.
Yeah,
But
you've also seen,
and we're paid over the odds because we're both Premier League proven players. We're both internationals. We're both German internationals. So we overspent on players. And how's he progressed them players this season?
Right. We overspent on Wissa. And we overspent on Wissa because we were desperate. Simple. That was because of the situation that the rat had put us in. And I'm not going to just rehash all of that. Our summer transfer window was completely knackered by what was going on, both behind the scenes with the DOF and the CAO, and who was actually making the decisions, how much we could pay. We've been through all of that a million times. That was what spoiled our season. Nonetheless, we got players in. Wissa, we know and we admit we overpaid for because we were in a desperate situation. Do I think Mbeumo was Wissa's iPhone charger? Not necessarily, because despite the fact that he hasn't hit the ground running, he has missed, at least a half a dozen that I can think of.
But when you're completely
proper chances,
you're completely.
Now that means he's getting into the right places.
You're completely deflecting from the question that I asked. The question I asked was, how has Eddie Howe developed these new players that came in?
Can I answer the question?
What the issues are. Of course you can.
So do you remember when Ramsey and Alanga started the season and everybody was saying that they were terrible and they were rubbish and they weren't doing anything? And then do you remember a couple of games ago how Alanga took on 3 Manchester City players and buried it with his wrong foot? And then the other day when Ramsey absolutely ran the midfield and then scored a goal that gave us the winner against Tottenham. There's what Eddie Howe's done for both Ramsey and Alanga this season. He's taken them from where they were at the start of the season, which was admittedly not great, and he's turned them into what they are now, which is exciting players for our team.
So why did we buy in Premier League proven players at a high price for them then to manage to develop them at best a little bit? Neither of them have been playing great, but we can't sit here and say, oh, them players are setting the world on fire now. They're not.
No, but okay.
They're doing better than they have.
Let me jump in there for just a second, because I do get your point, but what I can't get my head around is, look at the season Tonali had last season. He was by far one of our best performers on the field of play. What's happened to him this season then?
Why isn't it developing him?
No, but he has developed him. You don't need to develop a player who's already got it.
No,
you just need... No, but what I'm saying is, when you've got a team that's struggling, and a team could be struggling for umpteen reasons, right? It doesn't have to be the players that have come in. Because it's not just the players that have come in that aren't performing. It's the players that have been here from Eddie's tenure, from the start. They just are, and that's what Eddie said. I can't give you an answer for why we are conceding goals the way we're conceding, why we're not scoring, because all the metrics are there. Now, I know people don't like to talk about metrics, but he's saying everything is right. We are top of the league on multiple things. We just can't score goals. And the problem is when you can't score goals, the pressure then comes on every other person in that team. Our midfield hasn't looked right all season. We've been walked through on more than one occasion. That wasn't Ramsey's fault. He was out majority of the games that we lost. That wasn't Elanga, because Elanga was still getting some balls in. If you remember, Anthony Gordon missed 2 sitters in front of goals where Elanga would have already got assists if he'd put them in the net. So sometimes you have to look at the whole picture when you're looking at players coming in, because they aren't having the training. And that's only a small excuse, by the way. That isn't a major excuse, because, like I said, they are Premier League proven. They know the opposition well. They know the type of play that they're coming into. But when you've got a player that's coming into a team that isn't hitting the high notes, sometimes you play to the level. You don't exceed. Everything that you touch don't always turn to gold. And like I said, strikers, we've seen a Miggy have that purple patch. Lots of players go and have these moments of magic where you just go, wow. Yeah, we seen it with Walter Marder. When he started, we all thought, well, I did. I said, no way. I didn't even want this lad at the club. But I ate my words. I said, what a player this lad is. Where's he been since? And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes.
Exactly, my point is, what's Eddie done to develop these players?
But it's not just those players.
But
Okay.
it's not exactly. It's not.
It's the squad.
That's the point. It's the squad. Why is Toon Army now regressing? Why isn't Gordon doing better?
But that's what I'm saying. Nobody's got the answers. Nobody's got the answers, mate. You can't tell me that's.
But the answer, the question I posed wasn't that this is happening. I can see it happening, but the whole premise of Eddie Howe and the reason why Wayne and Tina and all the happier people love him is because he progresses players. How's he doing that now? Which player has he progressed this season? Which player can you come out and say has been miles better than they were last season?
Well, I can name players who have become better since Eddie Howe became manager.
No, that wasn't the question. I'm saying this
right,
season,
but you can't. But Eddie Howe's been manager for 4 years. You can't just take, okay, well, what long words has Christina used this week? You can't completely count out what he's done for the last 4 years. So, I mean, are you saying that the last 4 years, the development of Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall, Joe Linton getting converted into one of the best midfielders in the Premier League for a couple of years, all of that means nothing. That had nothing to do with Eddie Howe. But now that we're having a bit of a bad season, that's all because of Eddie Howe and nobody else. Yeah.
Hang on. You guys jump on saying all those players' development was down to Eddie Howe. We spent a fortune on Tino. We spent a fortune on Hall because they were already on the trajectory of going up. They were already on the way up. They were great players. Tonali the same, great player when we bought him. Bruno exactly the same, great player when we bought him.
Right, but let's look at...
You use Eddie's improving players as an argument. But what I'm saying is, what's he done this season to improve players?
So first of all, I've never used that as a reason to back Eddie Howe. But also, yeah, okay. So we signed Lewis Hall. He was a good player. He wasn't England's. Everyone's shouting of him to be the England left back. Tino Livramento as well. He's definitely developed since he's been at this team. And you're saying, oh, but we bought these players in and they're really good. Well, we also bought Wissa in when he was really good. We brought Elanga in when he was really good. There's no difference in those two signings as opposed to the Livramento and Hall ones, except for that Wissa and Elanga were a bit more established in the teams that we bought them from. So yeah, I mean they've I guess what I would say that's made the difference with them is the fact that they were very embedded in the way that they were playing at their former teams and have now potentially not had the pre-season they needed, or Eddie mentions the time on the training ground not being there. So it's taken them a little bit longer to get into our style of play and to adapt to our team and their new teammates. But I certainly wouldn't say that those two signings having a bad start of the season proves that Eddie Howe is not capable of developing players.
No,
Yeah,
I just
you,
think
you,
it's
you,
a number of
so you,
things.
you picked on the two things there that I'd written down, which were the pre-season. They were all last-minute recruits, and it's probably right to say that in order for Eddie to work his magic, he needs training days. And we didn't get training days because we've been playing the training days that he's had in the past. Now, you can say that's an argument for, right, well, he's no good if he's got to play 2 games a week. And I'm fully on board with that argument because I don't know that he is the man who can handle 2 games a week every week, which is where we want to be. So I'm perfectly open to that being, to being proven that that is the case, in which case I'll say thank you and goodbye. But until that happens, I'm not chucking any baby out with the bathwater. And I think he is still up because his raison d'etre, and he's said it a million times, he gets his biggest kick from improving players, helping players. And the players know that as well, by the way, which is why when he went in the bat yesterday, he relied on his men.
So he's brought in Premier League proven players. Who has he improved this season? That's the question to you. Who has he improved this season?
We keep on getting told. We keep on getting told.
Who is better since the sign forward?
We keep on being told that that we're overpaid for JJ because he was at best 6th choice, midfield choice for Aston Villa. That's what that's one of the criticisms levelled against paying 45 million for JJ. Well, if JJ continues to perform like he did last night and to a degree against Brentford even, then we're seeing that improvement.
I give up because I ask you direct questions and you ask me questions about the team and I'll answer them directly. You don't do it back. You defer off on trying to keep Eddie Howe in job.
I'm not trying to keep Eddie Howe in job.
I have just said to you.
Not you, Gary, not you, because you're obviously the host. But the Happy Cap has just defer off into a rhetoric of trying to keep Eddie Howe in post. I'm asking you, he's saying Premier League proven players this season and international players this season. Who has he improved?
Of the signings,
I'm saying potentially Ramsey.
Not potentially. Who has he improved?
Well, Ramsey looks like he's improving.
Who is better than when they signed for us?
You're talking about his 5 signings this season. Forget about these other brilliant signings. Just talk about the 5 this season, which we've already explained was through necessity, not through choice.
Again, you defer it. Just answer the question.
Came in late. So
answer the question. Don't make excuses. Answer the question. Who has he brought that he's improved out of the signings that he made in the summer?
Well, I don't think you can see anybody can improve when you've got a squad that's struggling. I find it, if I'm honest with you, and I am going to be honest with you, it's an open-ended question because there's no answer to it. When a team's struggling, the whole team is struggling, and for whatever reason that is, how can you improve anybody on in a struggling side? I mean, you could say Ramsey's improved massively because he was only 6th choice at Villa. He's one of our starters now, so is that an improvement?
I can answer it quickly. Chow's improved. Chow's
but he hasn't.
Better players. He has. He's a Premier League defender now that's performing at a high level. So
but how do you know he's
improved?
Can I just ask you then? How do you know he's improved if you've never watched him before?
Well, I've seen him beforehand, and in regards to this,
no. You can't say one game or 2 games in Germany and you've watched him before. But that's what I'm saying. But do you understand the question now?
I do.
How do you know he's improved him?
Because he's went from German football, which is a lot slower pace. He's came in here, and he has
been in Serie A.
He's come from Italian football, and he's improved the team. In regards to the rest of the players, none of them have improved the team. So there's my answer. I'll be honest. None of
Well,
them have improved
as
the
I've
team.
told you, all the Milan fans said that Chow was a
But again, you're
nice scramble.
deflecting. You're
He was a
deflecting.
great centre back, but
I've,
he had
I've,
too many
ans-
mistakes in him, so they weren't bothered letting him go. And he's done exactly that with us. He's been a brilliant centre
focused.
half. He had
I've
single
ans-
errors
I'll,
that have cost us goals.
I might be wrong, but at least I answered the question. At least I come out and say Chow's improved. I've got to say Chow has improved from what I've seen. I don't think any of the other players have improved that we've brought in.
I said Chow twice.
I was going to say, listen, like I said, this is an open-ended question. It doesn't matter what you answer. There's always going to be a negative response to it because I don't see how you can say there's an improvement in any player when they're not playing well as a whole. So players are going to stand out, and that's what I said. You're seeing Chow stand out in an actual poor-performing team. That doesn't make him improved. That just makes him one of the better players on the day. That isn't an improvement. What I want to start to see from this team is what they can do together, is what they can do. When we start to see our lads shine, going through teams, passing through teams, getting in behind teams, really pressing teams as a whole and taking it to them. When we started to get into Champions League on a regular basis, as we've done, since he's been in tenure, we've missed out on 1 year, and that was literally by default. And that would have got us in Europe any other season. So, for me to sit here and say he hasn't done anything, I'd be an absolute liar. But I can't also say that he's improved anybody because the team is defaulting. And they've all said that. Kieran Trippier said that the other day. It's not on Eddie Howe. We aren't performing on the field of play. So what you're doing there is just highlighting the player who's shining on the day. That isn't an improvement. Right or wrong?
I mean,
okay, we'll move on. We'll move on.
Gary,
all I'm saying is that you guys, everybody keeps saying Eddie Howe improves players, and I don't see that this season, and I don't see it from the back end of last season. You tell me, and again, I'll go to anybody on the panel, who has improved in the last year under Eddie Howe? Who is doing better now than they were last season, this time last year?
Can we move on? Can we just move on from this? Because, like I say, this is just getting...
Livramento. How much would we get for him now? How much did we pay for Hall? How much would we get for him now?
That's not the question.
Yeah, but that's what I said.
They must have improved to become more valuable.
Move on, Gary, because I'm going
to say let's just crack on because when this is for you, I think it's photoshopped, obviously. This is one with Voltemada wearing what could be next season's shirt. There's a lot of rumours saying this is the new one. There's a lot of people saying they hate it already. Like I said, I didn't like the old barcode because it was all one-sided. And it didn't really look right. I ain't so bad with this one, I must admit.
I do not like that at all.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'm still not 100% sure, and I'm going to put it to that. Now, there was an interesting feed, and again, I don't know. There's not much truth behind it because obviously it's from the Gazette. And I don't know, like I say, whether this is just them vying for players in and out. And this is the one thing that I wanted to look at because they've had a word with a chatbot, Grok, when predicting Newcastle United's summer transfer. Like I said, it is just all spec. So what they've suggested is contracts renewed. Grok mentioned Fabian Schär deserves a 1-year extension. That'll please Christina. At 34, he remains a commanding presence with excellent aerial ability, passing range, and experience that stabilises the defence amid injuries. His leadership and integration into Eddie Howe's system make him worth retaining as cover and mentor for younger centre-backs. Backs like Balik Chow and Sven Botman, especially while the club pursues top half consistency. That's what the bot says. The releases go to Kieran Trippier. He should not be offered a new deal and allowed to leave as a free agent at 35. Mobility and injury concerns limit his reliability in an intense modern fullback role. While his crossing and set-piece delivery remains an asset, the club needs fresher options to push forward aggressively, freeing wages and squad space for younger fullbacks like Tino Livramento to take primacy. Emil Kraft, another one. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them to what the bot says because I'll be here for the month of Sunday. But he says Emil Kraft should be gone, should let his expire run out without renewal and let the 31-year-old go. He's a versatile player, but he's not going to hit the high notes. Mark Gillespie, the T-boy, should also leave on a free. I mean, they've got him down as a third choice goalkeeper at 33. Well, he can't even get that because obviously we all know Ruddy gets the third spot, if anybody. Aaron Ramsdale should be not converted to a permanent deal, they say. The 27-year-old provides solid backup, but faces uncertainty over regular minutes behind Pope. Newcastle's long-term plan in favour of a young, ball-playing profile for competition and success, making a return to his parent club and elsewhere if needed. Players sold. This is the interesting one. Nick Pope. Grok thinks that Nick Pope should be sold in the summer to capitalise on his remaining value before age impacts that further. At 33, he remains a solid Premier League goalkeeper, but competition and long-term planning demand a successor. A transfer fee in the region of £20 million could achieve if an interested club seeking experience, providing funds for younger upgrade while avoiding a later decline in resale potential. Here's one that's going to sting.
If we got offered £20 million for Nick Pope,
yeah,
and they didn't take that,
you'd question it, wouldn't you?
I'd be saying, what?
He's my season ticket, lad.
There's not I can't think of a single Premier League club who would take Nick Pope.
Do you not think part of the thing is that we have to think about how much work we're going to have to do this window anyway in regards to bringing players in? So the likes of Ramsdale, he's not proved to be the best, but I think there's something that I don't know if this is still the case, but you can buy him for 16 million now. So we paid £4 million for the loan, and you buy him for 16 million. Surely enough, as a backup keeper, that's not a bad option. He's not a bad keeper.
No, like I say, I'd have Ramsey, but he would definitely be a number 2.
Yeah. So you're saying him as your number 2?
I'm not suggesting, by the way, that he's.
No, but I completely agree with getting rid of Trips. He's been a great servant forward, and I never ever want to hear. There was some talk the other night about him, issues with him. Never ever for me. He is a club legend. He came in when we were lowest, and he turned this club around, helped turn this club around. So I would never ever want to hear him get slagged off. Sure, it's a worry that he's got this injury, and it depends how he comes back.
That's my worry. It depends how he comes back. Exactly.
And do we? I know Tina will hate us for this and probably punches in the face from the other side of the studio here, but do we need a younger centre back as well coming in? But Burns not going anywhere. Let's face it, he's going to end his career here. He loves the Toon, and he's still performing at a level. You've got obviously the 2 younger defenders, Chow and Botman in front of them. So do we need another youngster in there? So and Kraft, to be fair, Kraft, he's been a good player forward, but he's never going to get you to the level that you want to be at. No, would offer him a new contract potentially if he comes back and can play, simply down to the fact that he's quite happy sitting on the bench or not even being on the bench as cover. So
well, that was a famous line that I loved that came from LB, who's a City Potter, and speaking from the top of the tree, which is where Man City are and have been for a while now. He said, anybody can buy first team players. Anybody. But he says it's buying players who are not in the first team that's the hard bit. Because they've got to be good enough to be able to come into the first team and still happy enough to be sitting on the bench knowing they're not first choice.
I think the likes of Gillespie as well, just to go back to him, and I think Ruddy should go this summer. I mean, I know Michael will be absolutely devastated because he won't see him in his dressing gown in the club shop, but I think Ruddy should go this season. Gillespie again, you need a third choice keeper. There's nobody coming through from the youth that we've seen that particularly are going to get into the team. You know, do you just you need somebody who'll train week in, week out with the first team keepers. Do you keep hold of him as well? I mean, he's not costing a fortune in wages. He's never going to really play forward unless there's an absolute injury crisis. So again, is he one that is just kept on as a squad player?
Mm.
And he can sing.
Yeah, there is that as well, isn't there? I mean, like I say, this isn't anybody that's put this up. This is just literally asking an AI bot what they think the suggestions will be for Newcastle. And to be fair, there's a couple of decent. When I read through this, I thought, you know what, this is an interesting talking point because, like I said, this next one could upset a few. I would have thought. Harvey Barnes is a candidate for sale to generate significant funds to refresh the wide attacking options. His contributions have been solid, but inconsistent due to injuries and competition from Gordon and others. At 28, a move could suit him for regular starts elsewhere, with Newcastle likely to command 30 to 40 million, given his pedigree in Premier League proven output. Will Asula. Obviously, we talked previously about Will Asula, and I must admit, I didn't see anything in that lad at all yesterday when he entered the field. And it's a shame because, like I said, yes, I know they are going to be, the team had gone more defensive shape. But when he goes on a run and he had a chance, like Lewis Hall did, if you like, just to go and, explore a corner somewhere, his mindset is always to go and try and score. And, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes it's management of minutes in games. And just by taking it into a corner, maybe get a corner, a throw in or whatever, a free kick or anything like that, somewhere in their box, just puts that pressure off the lads in defence and takes the ball into the opposition track. And I think that sometimes, and I look at
just
Willisula,
on that note, Gary, did you see? I was so impressed with Lewis Hall yesterday when he came on. And, we're in injury time and he went past about 3 players. Could easily have decided to go inside and try something, but no.
Yeah. Takes it into the
Football
corner.
head on.
Yeah, good management.
Took it to the corner and wasted a few more valuable seconds.
Will Asula will find his level in football, Gary. He'll find a level, and I think it's probably championship, if I'm honest. And he'll be great there. And I think he'll probably help. I think he'll help teams get promoted to the Premier League. But I think once he hits the Premier League, he won't be the player that he is in the Championship. I think he's a champion. That's basically what I'm saying.
But I think
Bruno's saying, I understand what you're saying, Gary, about Asula, but I honestly feel there's something there. And I'd be sad to see him go. But we'll have to let some go. I know it's so tricky.
I love the hunger of the lad. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. Like I said, you can see what he wants to do. The problem is there's two things for me when you look at Asula: skill set. When you're playing as a sole striker, your role is to take the ball and keep it. Retain possession. Got to be strong. You've got to be good at playing with your back against goals, and you've got to allow players to come up to you. And if the one thing you can't do is turn and run, because once you're isolated with 3 players around you, then the chances of you doing anything with the ball is very slim. And like I say, once he lost it, what you saw him then do, which really frustrates me, is jog back. The lads are on a break. We're all in a defensive line. Still got the shape. I haven't got no issues with that. But when I see you just coming onto the field of play and the will is only to run forward and not to run back, that infuriates me, especially when we are under the cosh a little bit from Spurs then. But I mean, like I say, I really wanted to see Will Asula do something. Like I said, I was a lot more with him as a right winger when he's able to get the ball under control and run at players, because he looks a different player out on the right hand side. Like Balky says, maybe going to the German league and playing for Frankfurt will be a breath of fresh air for him. Maybe the game's a little bit slower. He's able then to get the ball a bit more under control. I just think it's too physical.
What about Villa being in for him though?
Well, again, we're Villa just taking him on board just for, the ride. And again, I've been watching Villa at the corner of my eye against Brighton tonight because we got them the weekend, and they are like us. They start really quick, but on the 60-minute mark, they haven't really turned up. And Brighton, to be fair, could have been in the lead. Really shocker at Crystal Palace though, 2-0 up against Burnley, now losing 3-2. It's not doing. It's not smelling of roses at Palace at
What's
the
the
minute.
Aston Villa score?
0-0 still.
0-0.
No, thank you.
And look, it has been a complete comparison. When you look, 10 attempts for Villa, 2 for Brighton. Second half, it's 2 to Villa and 7 for Brighton. So, like I said, they certainly haven't come out of the traps in the
Just out
second
of
half.
interest,
Gary, can I
quick rundown. Man City
go
are
on.
beating Fulham 3-0.
Yeah.
Villa drawn 0-0. Liverpool drawn 0-0 with the Mackham, so they've gone 1 point ahead of us.
I thought I'd seen in chat that Sunderland had taken the lead.
And as you say, Palace getting beat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Just a quick
And
one.
just
Well,
go on.
Gary, before we move on, I think as well as Toon fans and Newcastle fans, and I'm the same as this, sometimes you get those players that come through and they're not quite good enough, but in your heart you love them because, you see the passion coming out of them, you see the sort of the will to want to succeed. And I think, as I say, as Toon fans, we're a passionate lot and we love to see passion from players. Sometimes we have to talk with your brain and say it's not enough for a player sometimes. And it's sad because obviously we all want every player at Newcastle to succeed. But I think sometimes you just have to say to yourself, yes, I love his passion, but he's not quite good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
always-
gamble, wasn't it?
It was.
But I'll tell
Tina.
you one thing: we're going to do better than get our money back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you should make a few million from him.
So,
You ain't going to make a mega amount. To
so
be
is
fair.
that another player that Eddie Howe's improved? Just say it.
I think just bringing him into the club improved him, mate. To be fair,
2-4 win, 2-4.
just finishing on the point, which was an interesting because it goes on to talk about players that could potentially come in. Marco Gunasecki, he's from Atalanta. He's a very loyal successor to Nick Pope, highly rated international in his mid-20s with a strong shot-stopping distribution and command, bring modern goalkeeping qualities, ideal for building from the back. Pay around about 35 to 40 million, secures a proven Serie A performer with high potential as a long-term number one, addressing occasional errors from the current setup and ushering in the post-Pope era in the possession-based system. So, I mean, like I say, I did a little bit of groundwork on this lad. Seems okay. I must admit, I didn't really know much about him. But from what I read from here and then going and have a look at him, yeah, he seems as if he's a decent keeper. Diane Mattelli, well, we knew about him anyway because obviously Mattelli was one that we scouted, so we'd had a look at him previously. And Grok, the AI bot, is agreeing with that. There was another one from Salzburg that I didn't know about, which was, well, they've got him here as Joanne Godou. I think he may be in the wrong team. They're saying, despite Botman and Chow's promise, he's a 19-year-old French talent, 6'4", strong ball playing ability, pace, aerial dominance, strength, rotation, and should be valued at around 12 to 16 million euros.
I mean, we're going to need another young centre back, even though we've got Botman and Chow. I mean, injuries, the age of the backup defenders that we've got. Again, even Shaw, I'll admit it. But, Burns not going to, be first team Premier League level for much longer either. I mean, I think definitely a young, fit centre back who's got some potential would be a fantastic thing to look at in the summer.
Yeah, and before we move, I mean, Villa have just taken the lead on the 86th minute, believe it or not. So there you go. The commentator's curse hits me again.
Gary, I went to the little boys' room where we were talking about the strips. Can I just ask, every season now, are we bringing out new home and away kits?
Yeah.
It's been every season for a while, hasn't it?
I know. Is that beginning to take a little bit of the mick out of the fans? Because, I mean, it used to be You had one season that it was the home kit that got changed, and the next season it was the away kit. And I know we're trying to make more money as a club, but it seems a little bit unfair on fans that, all of a sudden we're getting, if it comes to Christmas or something, you're having to buy the kids two new tops.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know a club that don't do it these days now,
Yeah.
Balky, if I'm honest, because it's all money orientated business, isn't it? And like I
It
say,
is.
the one thing that grabs me though is why they bring the retro stuff as well. So you've not only got to pay mega money for the tops that come out each year, but also throwing in the retro stuff. And like I say, those that weren't around during those days, and really annoys me that people would go out there and buy it and then throw it straight on eBay for double the price. It's like it's just incredible. Knowing how Newcastle are, and people will go out and I mean they will buy it. And like I say, a lot of it has been sold from what I can see on eBay. So yeah, I don't like that part of it, but you're right. It does pull on the purse strings a little bit.
It does. It just seems a little bit much that you're expecting fans to go out and spend at least £200 a season on new shirts.
Did you see it, Borky? Did you actually see the top? Because you mentioned
I
that you
did, yeah.
left.
No,
What do you
I've
think of it?
seen it, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest. I've never liked him like
Can I
that.
tell you
but-
what it
people
reminds me of?
There was a lot of chats in the comments when it came up saying, what? Or words
Yeah.
to that effect.
It's
Absolutely.
not my favourite.
Not my
I mean,
cup of tea.
I don't mind that one as bad as I did the first. The first one I just didn't like at all. I mean, Will loves it. I just didn't like that at all. It looks lopsided. It just looks a bit strange for me. And this one, I mean, like I say, I'm not saying I would go and buy this one. It's different, but it is. There's something about it that I can say. You know what? It's different than the usual one. And I guarantee, even though there's been lots of comments in there how negative it is, if it is, I bet it'll be on the backs. I bet it's on the backs next year. It'll be an interesting one.
I mean, you can't blame the club. They're a commercial outfit, so they're going to.
Yeah, there's nobody got a gun in their head saying you've got to go and buy one.
No,
But
no,
there's not
exactly.
win. But you think about yourself when you were like when I was a kid, you'd be, can I have that top, please? Can I have that top, please? Can I have that top, please? It does pull on parents' heartstrings a little bit.
I've just been looking.
It was different in my day. It was just, no.
Yeah.
It reminds
Well,
me
actually,
of.
there was no replica kits weren't a thing then at all. They were very. I had a knitted one. Would you believe a knitted black and
A
white
knitted black and
jumper
white.
that I used to
Nice.
play in?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
in them days when everybody played in black and white, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ba-dum.
British.
For those watching in black and white, the blues behind the pink.
Yeah, just some news before we move on. Radio Team Talk, according to Team Talk, Newcastle are seriously looking at Brighton's 23-year-old goalkeeper Bart Verbruggen for the summer, saying that he looks like a reasonable purchase. And the other one was Calcio Mercato. Newcastle have held talks, apparently, with Roma's 29-year-old attacking midfielder Pellegrini. Like I said, they go from one extreme to another, if that's true. I mean, I like Pellegrini.
I like Pellegrini.
I just think he's probably the other side of where we wanted him to be.
Haver is linked with two Italian players, Carlos
Augusto, yeah.
and Inter Milan, who apparently us and Villa are very interested in. Left-sided defender, can play left back, left wing back, or left centre back. But Milan's stance appears to be, according to Mercato, Inter consider him unsellable, even though he's only got a fee of 30 million. Inter consider him unsellable, and manager Christian Chivu, quote unquote, worships him.
Yeah, the other one, which was interesting, there's a couple of interesting ones that I'm going to go into in a second. Louis Smiley, according to Ekrem Kunor, I don't know who this is. I haven't really followed this one up. Could be on the move if Newcastle miss out on Champions League football. PSR rules put the club under a lot of pressure. Borussia Dortmund are already circling with a 50 to 60 million pound summer bid. And last but not least, we've got Bruno, who seems to be linked with everybody at the moment because of where he's playing. Arsenal, Chelsea, Barca, and PSG seems to be the ones circling for him. And just while we're talking about the transfer window, I did see James Trafford, believe it or not, back on Team Talk's radar, linked to Newcastle. We've already talked about Verbruggen. There's Tonali, seems to be, you're talking about the Milan, AC Milan link. I wonder whether there's something, one going and one coming regarding that one. Tyler Morton at Lyon seems to be, and also of interest. He could be the one to compensate for Sandro Tonali's possible departure. Like we said, we've talked about Bruno. But the interesting one that I read, and again, this seems to be from Football Insider, was Nick Voltemada going to Bayern Munich at the end of the season. And they're looking a deal valued. And again, I don't know how, it seems to be a strong connection, this one. Newcastle are willing to sell striker Nick Voltemada this summer, and Bayern Munich are interested. And have a guess how much they want to pay for him.
50 million.
You're not bad. 40. 54 million.
I'll tell you what.
Just a quick one to say before.
Great swap for Harry Kane.
Yeah, just a quick one. Man City's finished 3-0 against Fulham, and Forest and Wolves are still 0-0. It's finished 0-0. So the Premier League games are beginning to finish.
Yeah, it's still 1-0 in the 93rd minute. I'm probably a little bit behind everybody else on this one, so that's probably already finished anyway. A quick gander, if we can, at what's happening with the team then for the Aston Villa game coming up this weekend. What's your thoughts on this one, ladies and gentlemen? Are you up for this one? Do you think it's going to be a similar team to what's out there? I mean, obviously they've got, obviously a lot of players out midfield wise, but again, you know, they've got a decent squad on the field of play tonight. This is their setup tonight. Martinez in goal, Maatsen, Mings, who got the goal for them, Konza, Bogart, Onana, and Luiz, who obviously seems to be ticking quite nicely in that defensive midfield role. I wouldn't have minded him in a black and white shirt, I'll tell you now. Rodgers has been out on the left-hand side, Buendia, Sancho on the right-hand side, and Ollie Watkins, who to be fair, hasn't really done a lot.
He's always dangerous, though.
Oh, he is. He certainly against Newcastle, he seems to really like to run our defence ragged. Who do you think is going to? We've got a couple of minutes, guys, so we've got to get a shift on. Who do you think is going to be in the team then?
For us or for them?
Yeah, for us. Well, I've already got theirs down.
I thought you were asking. Sorry.
I don't care.
Fair.
I'm more interested in us.
Pope in goal.
Yeah.
I've got a weird feeling that still be Trippier at right back, Hall at left back.
Yeah. Okay.
Botman and Burn.
Botman again.
No,
Botman and Burn this time.
Yeah. I think he's got to rest Chow at some point.
Okay.
Midfield, Tonali, Bruno, and Ramsey.
Okay.
I think you've got to start Ramsey again, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tonali in the 6.
Sorry, I've just took control of this, but
no. We need to, because like I say, the lads are going to be coming on very soon.
Left side Gordon, right side Alanga, and up front, I'll let you guys choose because I've got no idea. Probably if it was my choice, it would be Asula.
I would probably like to see him put Gordon in the centre again and put Barnes on the left.
Yeah, I must admit,
needs a rest.
I don't know. I still think we need to get really at these guys, and I just don't think Wissa or Voltemada at the moment are both vying in confidence. And I hate saying it, I wouldn't mind seeing the Tottenham team-ish go out again. And again, what I say about Tottenham team-ish, that are for just getting at them for a bit and then bringing the Gunners on. Because like I say, I've seen these guys really fall off in that second half. But again, Voltemada, do you need that little bit more of extra height in that in the front line? I don't know what he offers you anything different at this present moment in time. And or the likes of Konsa, who are, he's had a decent game today with Mings. Are they going to give him enough time off the ball to get anywhere?
They're very physical as well, aren't they? Which
They
I don't think
very.
really suits Walter Mara. I would love
Okay,
to see
then
Walter Mara play.
this is for you guys. Then in the chat, you've got literally 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds to say who's up top for us this weekend. Do you agree with the top three? Win?
And they do that just to let you know Aston Villa won 1-0 as well. So they're 1-0 winners.
Wisser for me.
Tonight.
You want to go Wisser? Okay,
Yep.
that's Vin's.
Come on, chat.
What's
We've got
yours,
1
Tina?
minute. But I'll go Walter Mara just to put a little bit of
A
leave a
slant
bit
on
of
it.
jeopardy to see how chat takes this one.
Yeah, so that's your three options, really, isn't it? Gordon, Wisser, and Voltamada. Who do you guys
If he rests
think?
Barnes, of course.
Well, that's if you
And
rest Barnes.
that's no guarantee.
Oh well, no. Let's just play like that. Just play all three of them and the other 10 players as well. Perfect.
I totally agree. I think we've got a chance then. I think we've got a chance.
We've got one vote for Walter in the chat.
Well, I think he's won. Because I think
That's it. We're out of time.
was a damn
Well,
count, trolls.
Walter Mara it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like I say, they've got to go with the striker. I think tonight, the weekend, Wisser or Voltamada. I don't understand why he put them on the bench if he's not going to play them the weekend.
Just while we're waiting for some answers to come through as well. Sunderland and Liverpool are still drawing 0-0. But I didn't realise they kicked off at 8:15 tonight again.
Yeah,
it's
crazy, isn't it?
It's absolutely nuts. I mean, how are the Sunderland fans going to get to the kebab shop for the cheesy chip that time of game?
Cheesy chips.
Cheesy chips.
Can't get your cheesy chips in.
Cheesy chips.
Cheesy chips.
Yeah, exactly. Right then, I think it's got start with Wissermaid. Wissermaid. Yeah, play both of them.
Thanks, chat.
Yeah, thanks for that.
We appreciate you helping us with that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Kev. Kev, who would you have? Yeah.
Do I have to chuck them on screen so people can? Yeah.
There you go.
Go Volta.
Volta's in then. So there you go. That's who
Volta.
we think is going to be there. I don't think it will. I think it'll all change again. We just never know. As long as the result comes. Look at that. Now rang with cheese and chips, says the magpie.
It's not cheese and chips. It's cheesy chips.
Cheesy chips.
Cheesy chips.
What have I walked into here, by the way?
Put your spoon on the cooker.
Yeah.
Spoon on the cooker.
Should we go for a nice perry?
Oh, bless.
And on that note,
are you good, Kev? How are you feeling, buddy?
Very good, very good. I don't know why. My seat's uncomfortable today. I don't know if that's a sign for whatever's coming with me hosting, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of the game, mate?
You know what? I thought it was good. Great character shown. And to be honest, it was that moment at the end for me. I was very happy to see the Bruno and Trippier push out towards the fans reluctantly.
Yeah.
How was he hates the spotlight, but yeah, great moment.
It was, yeah. I mean, I must admit, and the crowd responded. I mean, it was a lovely point, I suppose, for the love still to be there. Anyway, I am going to hand you firmly over. I would say firmly over because I can't reach it. But yeah, there you go. You're done. Over to the lads that are going to continue with the early stroke late show. Thank you ever so much for everybody that's joined me tonight. And like I say, I'll see you on the next one. Take care for now.
up for maximum confrontation and super opinionated debates. The NUFC Late Night Show with Chris the American Man, Derek the Matey and the rest of the panel, Monday through Thursday from 9:30 p.m. UK and UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
And not Chris the American Mark hosting tonight, but King Kev himself.
Get in. King Kev's back in charge in Newcastle, eh? What a time to be alive. You all right, gents? You okay?
Yeah, never better. Always good after a win.
Good, yeah, good.
Happy days.
The show went a bit weird.
The what? The intro?
No, the early show went a bit weird.
Oh, yeah, we couldn't get it started.
Yeah.
But that's by the by now. Water under the bridge, as they say.
Exactly. So, I mean, to everybody again listening, good evening and welcome to NUFC Talk TV, live on YouTube, across DAB radio. Please smash the like button, subscribe, become a member, and all that jazz to ensure you stay connected to the best Newcastle fan show around. And if you listen on DAB radio, thank you for listening to the future award-winning NUFC Talk Radio. Well, I'm hugely excited tonight to talk all things Newcastle United and football over the next half an hour or so. Right. Newcastle beat Spurs. Geordies are bouncing again. And at full time, we saw a moment which I think was special, but I'm going to get your thoughts on it in a minute. But I think that moment said a lot. It said unity. It said belief. It said this dressing room is still with its manager. However, the wider conversation around Newcastle's manager, unfortunately, doesn't go away because it's not just about emotion this season, it's about trajectory. Are we ahead of schedule? Are we starting to plateau? Is this expected, not expected? And these are all things we've discussed previously anyway. So, tonight, we're going to talk about some other talking points, which I think are big questions around Newcastle United right now. We're going to talk about if the FA Cup is a genuine opportunity to accelerate the project, or does a thinner squad mean we should be laser focused on the league? And to be honest, in a Premier League where clubs change managers at the first sign of turbulence, is Newcastle's biggest strength actually the fact we haven't? We've seen what instability looks like across the league. Thomas Frank leaving Spurs, and again, I think the last 4 managers haven't lasted a season. So that's what I'm going to get this panel to dive into tonight. And in short, we'll be asking whether Newcastle need patience or pressure, evolution, or something more drastic. Right. Let's start with that full-time moment then. What did it really mean? Win, what does that full-time moment really mean? And for anybody who hasn't seen it, Trippier and Bruno forcing Howe to go and take some applause from the crowd. And again, I'll talk about what Howe said about it later on if none of you guys cover it, but I'm sure being the professionals you'll cover all angles. So, Win, what does that moment mean?
I thought it was lovely. And typical, I mean, even in the presser afterwards, Eddie said, this is not for me, this is for the players, da-di-da-di-da, as he does. And you could, it was touching really at the actual scenes, because he literally had to be pushed forward, and then it was sort of it's not him. We know it's not him, and yet
exactly.
he kind of did it because he was expected to do it, and he got the reward from the players, from the travelling supporters.
Yeah, it was great to see. Joined by Ian, I think, shortly, but I'm going to come to you, Bogey. What do you think that moment means in terms of what are the squad trying to tell us without the obvious answers of the Beckham, obviously? But what do you think it means to the season, that moment, which so unlike Eddie Howe really to take applause? I think the last time I saw him that animated was when he lifted the cup at Wembley. So what do you think it means?
It was great to see him with his arms above his he's actually up and celebrating.
He can actually lift his arms.
Yeah, he can actually lift his arms above his shoulders. But no, in all seriousness, it proves that, as you said, it proves that he hasn't lost the dressing room whatsoever. The dressing room's still there for him completely. In regards to the way he reacted, I think it was just relief. I think he's had a tough few weeks, and I think him getting seeing an Eddie like that, it does make you realise what he has done for this club. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
still on the same side of the coin, but you can't deny what he's done, and you can't deny him those moments. He deserves those completely. And no matter what happens with that lad's career, whether he stays at Newcastle or he moves, he's always going to be that type of guy that's going to be celebrated by fans because he'll always put in 100% and he'll always give the club, you know, what they need at that time. And he might not always get things right. Let's face it. I mean, I'm the biggest one for saying he doesn't, but you can't deny the fact that he tries his best. He puts the hours in every week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's
the
a
one thing all the journalists say about him. And indeed, John Joe Shelby, in the last thing I saw, John Joe, when he was on Talk Sport, said he's in before daybreak and doesn't go home till whatever, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, Trippier said it, didn't he? He came out and said about how, how hard Howe works and how much he loves Newcastle and how much he's kind of bought into Newcastle United and the culture, and we love that. Look, that's one of the main reasons we love Keegan. Keegan wasn't from the northeast, and he got it. He understood the club, and how truly seems like an adopted Geordie now, doesn't he? I think we've got Ian now. I think we've he's here. He's
I am
live.
here
Can you
now,
hear us,
yes.
Ian? Yeah.
I'm not sure
So I
what's
guess
happening.
the
I
first
can hear
question
you
I've
fine.
asked.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. The first question I've asked, and Mighty, Win, and Borky have both answered it. Not similarly, because Borky went into a lot more depth about kind of what might happen after Howe. But I'm asking, what does that moment mean at the end of a Tottenham game, Ian, in terms of players physically pushing somebody, in terms of Eddie Howe, who isn't fully comfortable doing what he ended up going on to do and accepting the applause from the fans? Yeah, what do you think that moment means to Newcastle United?
I think it's a bit of reassurance for the people who followed the journey for the last 4 years that it's not necessarily coming to a natural conclusion. I think he put himself right on the line with what he said before the game. And I think the performance during the match and the effort that was shown, the result, has bought him a lot more time to continue to turn things around. I'm hoping that we're about to see a resurgent Newcastle for through to the end of the season, and we're on the coattails of Europe places. Let's get into the Europa League or something next year. It's wonderful.
Let
He's
that
obviously
be the
not
buzzword.
comfortable. He's not comfortable. He's not really comfortable in taking the plaudits, is he? He just wants to be the man in the background. But
Yeah.
I think the fact that Trippier and Bruno pushed him forward to take that is a sign that the team are certainly all behind him. But I think the performance showed that as well. And one or two of the failed summer signings starting to really step up and contribute. So I think it was all good.
That was
The
the next
rest of
thing
the
I was.
world is laughing.
Yeah,
The rest
that
of the
was the
world is
next.
laughing that we're celebrating a win at one of the worst teams in the Premier League. Like we just won the Coca-Cola Cup again. But I don't mind. I loved it. I loved it.
Let's forget what others think. We don't understand what it is to be a Geordie. Like the Carabao Cup, when people were saying we went overboard, we didn't go overboard. It's exactly what it means to the club. However, you mentioned the signings there, and in particular, I'm going to talk about Ramsey and Alanga. Ramsey obviously getting his goal, massive moment for him, and actually, I thought Anthony Gordon did very well to set it up. So it could be a little sign of some partnerships being created at the club. But I also wanted to get your thoughts very quickly before going into kind of a main topic I'm going to speak about in terms of, is the FA Cup going to be a hindrance or a blessing? Ramsey and Alanga then, is this now the time where they have to kick on? Is this, we've given them patience, we've given them time. I don't think anyone's been overly critical. I know Alanga had critics early on, but I think it was a minority taking it a little bit too far. From this moment then, with Alanga finally looking like he's going to come good and Ramsey getting his first goal, is this the moment where they have to perform now, or there's no way back? I'm going to come to Borky on that one in terms of, is it now or never?
Want me to sing that?
Mute there, Borky.
Sorry, lads. I think in regards to that, they've both improved over the last few games, and as I've said throughout, they are improving, but they're starting from a low level.
Good point.
I don't think we should all jump on board and say these are the players that we want them to be now. But I do think that they're showing signs of developing. I think what we have to remember with both those lads is we bought those in on high prices because they were Premier League proven players. So we wanted them just to slot straight into the team, especially Alanga. That was always, I'm guessing that was always the case, was he was meant to be our number one right-hand side player, going into the season. Ramsey was a little bit different because obviously he's just J7's sort of replacement, if you like, or the one that's going to interchange with J7. I think that there's fault on both parts here. I think neither players particularly came in and set the world on fire, but I don't think they got a good big chance at the start of the season. I know Ramsey got injured,
Mhm.
but I think what they could have done with was a run in the team, and that's what a few of these players need now. That especially the new signings is a run in the team, and it'll either make them or break them. It'll prove to whether they are good enough or they're not.
Yeah, now or never. Ian, would you agree?
You were to say, Ian, can you sing it? I can, but I won't. I do agree, and I think there's been signs in Alanga's cameos over the last month that when Eddie asked the crowd to show him some love, and we did, that it had a real effect on him. I thought it was far and away his best half, the first half. I think he was doing a lot of defensive work as well, to help Trippier out in the first half, and he conked out. And I was amazed that Ramsey came off when he did, instead of Willock, for example. But Alanga should have stayed on, I would have thought, if he could have kept going. I think Alanga is definitely first choice right wing for me now. If up against Murphy, it is time for him to kick on, but the signs are good. Signs are also good for Ramsey. He was excellent. I think I wanted Chow, but Michael picked Ramsey as our man of the match last night. He was
Ramsey got the
fantastic.
official man of the match as well, which was
Yeah,
good to see.
yeah.
When I saw a comment before saying that you wrote Alanga off after 5 games, now I don't know if I was around 5 games into the season, but did you write him off after 5 games? And if you did, have you changed your mind?
I certainly didn't write him off over 5
Ah,
games.
the comments are lying to me right now. How dare you? Keep
I don't know
commenting.
who he's talking about. There was quite a few people did, but I wasn't one of them. But I did say after, I forget which game it was now, when he came out and he ran the ball into touch,
Mm-hmm.
and I did say then that I was close to giving up on him. Yeah,
Brave
so
thing to say, that. Brave thing to say.
well,
Right.
it was just, he was performing poorly. Let's not beat about the bush.
He was. Sometimes it takes time to adapt, especially to a different style of play as well. Forrest, he was very counter-attacking. Obviously at Newcastle, he's expected to kind of dribble past people, a little bit of a so-called, to be our maverick. Okie doke. Laughing at the comments.
Just on
You've got to keep them
that,
coming in.
on that,
Go on,
Kev,
Ian.
I think Alanga was frustrating because we knew he came in early and he had a whole of a pre-season. That's why
Yeah.
we were wondering why he was misfiring when we started, to the point.
Yeah, but then he had that
Murphy
period
was
out,
getting
didn't he?
kicked ahead of him.
Yep.
Alanga,
Yeah.
He got
I
dropped.
think he got injured though. He got dropped.
Wasn't
left
injured.
Well,
back.
they
But he
didn't
was
know
so
what it
ineffective.
was, but he wasn't in training for about 2 or 3 weeks. Was it, Bogey? I can't remember.
Was that when he's was that something to do with the
He
pregnancy?
came
or
home from
something?
the Swedish international, and it was down to personal issues or something.
I think
And
that
then, of
was
course,
something to
his
do with,
missus has had a baby, so
yeah. I think that was something to do with the baby. I don't think it was if he was particularly injured, but I don't know. There was nothing ever said on it. Was
he
it?
definitely wasn't in training
To be
for
honest,
No,
a while.
his early form wasn't good enough to warrant him to be picked week after week.
definitely
I
not.
think
No.
Yeah.
I think when he's come on as sub and done pretty well in 2026, let's say, he was trusted to get a start in that match that we had to win last night. And at half time he would have been man of the match for sure. He was excellent in that first half.
But I think,
Let's as I say, there's nothing to stop him having a good run now of starting games, and hopefully
In
he
a
establishes himself
resurgent
as
Newcastle United.
Yeah, 2026, the year of Alanga, right?
I think part of
Resurgence
the problem.
is the word.
Yeah, I think part of the
On
problem with
Ramsey,
Malanga is
sorry,
Go on,
go
Bucky.
on,
go on, Ian.
go on, Bucky.
I think part of the problem
All I
with
was
Malanga is that he's fast, and with strikers aren't particularly fast, so it's sort of if he gets there, sometimes he looks in the box and thinks, well, pointless putting a cross in or doing anything like that because there's nobody there.
Yeah.
They're just cutting side and
One
shoot.
thing Michael spotted, by the way, is that he has got a little bit of football intelligence, though, because he put quite a few crosses in last night. They were all at knee height or lower, because there's no point putting a cross in when you've got up high when there's Gordon and the other little flimsy attackers we had out, sort of going up against Van de Ven. Trippier kept putting a lot of crosses in, but they were the usual sort of high balls. We didn't have a chance of that. Alanga kept them all low down, which is, I don't think a lot came from it.
As
A lot
Murphy
were
used
cut
to
out, and
do.
we got corners from him. Yeah, I think that's showing a little bit of thought as well. He's not just a speed merchant. I hope. With Ramsey, it was unfortunate he got crocked in the second game, wasn't it? And he's come back in and he's have to build his fitness up again mid-season. Did you see the interview afterwards? Ramsey was almost relieved. Was his demeanour because he'd actually scored. He said, "I'm a box-to-box midfielder. I want to get up there. I want to be scoring." And I think he's been frustrated that he hasn't had many chances.
Before that, I think we've got a super chat from Win. Go on, Win.
What was that? Cheers, was that? Kev, don't read that chat, mate. It's been Viagra.
This is what I do to women, was I?
I don't know which chat it was.
This is my
But
impact.
thank you for your super chat, was.
Keep the super chats coming. Right, we're gonna move on because what I want to ask, and I want everyone listening and kind of tuning in and watching on YouTube to let us know what to think about this. I'm not going to give my personal opinion first because I'm going to be a coward and I'm going to let you guys go, and then I'll kind of jump in with what I think. But FA Cup this Saturday, is it a blessing or is it a curse? Obviously, what I mean by that is we've finally got 3 points away in the league. It looks like we could start putting a run together if we just had a nice breakup of games. And obviously, winning on Saturday would mean, again, more games, another FA Cup round to go through. So what do we think in terms of the FA Cup? Do we attack it and potentially cause more damage to the already damaged league form and try and go for an FA Cup? Or do we admit that we're not in great form right now? It's unlikely that we will win a cup this year because of the type of team we currently are, and solely focus on trying to get European football. Borky, what do you think about that? Blessing or a curse, the FA Cup?
Blessing. You've got to be in it to win it. You've got to aim, take every competition. The FA Cup's a competition we can win this season. Look who won it last season.
Good point.
Never ever take a competition as lightly. I love the FA Cup. Some of my best, like when I was a late teenager, some of my best experiences were the FA Cup. Never ever downgrade a competition. Never ever, don't go for it. You know what? If we finish 17th in the Premier League and end up winning the cup, if you said Kev,
Yeah.
I would love that.
I
Absolutely
did
love it.
say that, but I didn't think anybody would agree with it.
No, I completely agree. In my view, if we get to an FA Cup final and can win the FA Cup, that eclipses anything that Eddie's done so far. And I'll sit on this channel if we sit and win the FA Cup and say I want Eddie to stay.
Oh, look at that. Look what I've got out of Borky. Borky, that is absolutely class. You know what I'm going to add? If Newcastle win the FA Cup, I'll dye my hair bleach blonde like Bruno for a whole year. Right? That's how happy I'll be if that happens.
I'll do the same.
And I'll go ginger.
Win, what do you think then? Are you in the same? Would you sacrifice all league form to attack the FA Cup? Now, I get what Borky's saying there in terms of, look, if we win it, of course we would sacrifice it, but there's no guarantee of winning it. Therefore, do we try and attack it and accept that we might not win it and sacrifice the league? Or do we just think, you know what, it's not worth sacrificing the league I just want to go. I just want to be good in the league, go to Europe, and leave it at that. What do you think, Win?
I am very much in the Eddie Howe school of thought here. At least I'm pretty sure this is the school of thought that he's in when he says he wants to win every game. And I think that's absolutely the right attitude to have.
Oh, even at the cost of
Even if
like
it
16.
means umpteen extra games. I mean, fortunately, bear in mind now, it's knockout, it's penalties after 90 minutes kind of thing, so you haven't got the potential multiple replays that we used to have to deal with. But then again, we rarely had Europe to worry about then.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've got to
And I mean,
hopefully we can get
if
through
you go back
Karabag.
to the Bruce era, when the FA Cup was more or less, he put that was when he put all his weakened teams out, which used to rail me because in those days it was at least a competition, as Borky said at the start there, that you've got a chance of winning. It's
Of
a
course.
knockout competition, so by its very nature, you've got a chance of winning it. Anything can happen in any 90 minutes. So yeah, I'd be going for it.
I don't know. Normally I'm with you two, and I'm all big for it. But obviously, there's no guarantee of winning the cup, and I really, really want, even if it's just Europa League. I know if you win the FA Cup, you get Europa League anyway. But winning the FA Cup, anything could go wrong at any moment. So it's going to be interesting. Boki's caused absolute havoc in the comments with his statement about coming on here and saying that Howe will be the manager for the next 8 years, even though that's not accurately what he said, but not far off.
Paraphrase.
Ian, FA Cup, blessing or a curse?
Of course, it's a blessing. It's a competition. I've just watched Villa very disjointedly scrape to a 1-0 win against Brighton. They're doable. They've lost the last 2 home games. Why not? And I'd point out to you, Kev, if you're worried about it damaging our league form, I think Howe's already thinking of the FA Cup when he leaves Hall out yesterday. When he doesn't force Miley back in a couple of games quicker than he needs to. I think he rested players. Tonali's got a complete
Tonali.
night off so that he's fit and firing for the important games away at Villa and at Karabag. I think that was already part of the thinking that we want to do well in this FA Cup. And I said last week I thought we would do Villa. I just think they're ready to be taken. But anyway, yes, as everyone has said, it's a competition that we can win. You've got to win 3 or 4 games and you're through to a Wembley semi-final. Why would you not want to give your all for something like that, mate? I'm sure you do. I think you're
Kev,
just playing the devil's advocate, aren't you? Little monkey.
Kev, just before you answer
But
this
we should have
question,
the squads to rotate. That's what the point
Yeah.
of rotation is, that you can rotate your team to rest the players for the next game that's coming up. Might be not a super strong team that he sends to Karabag. Or maybe we can go with a strong team, win 3-0, and then it could be the reserves that play at home. I don't know. But it's up to him to manage the squad to be able to be competitive in every game that we play without having to throw it. Come on.
Kev,
Get
just before
fined if
you
you
answer,
throw it.
just before you answer this question, can I just say before there's a point? What happens if Aston Villa go through? God forbid, but they go through instead of her and then get the easiest run to the final ever.
Oh no, that would hurt.
How would you feel then?
I would be gutted. The only thing with me, I think I said 2 weeks ago when I was on about not throwing the FA Cup, but it's a good chance to see how good the youngsters are. And if we go out, so be it. Just focus on the Champions League and the Premier League. I never want to be out the FA Cup. I'm a little bit like Bogey in terms of when I grew up, I was watching every FA Cup final. It was a big deal, and I loved it. But I don't know. I think for me personally, I'm so emotionally attached to Howe that I just want that league form to improve so the pressure lessens and gets taken off him a little bit, and we can just focus on maybe getting Europa League, building again in the summer, and him having another crack at it. But the FA Cup to win, of course, it would be amazing to win, but how hard is it to win a cup competition? I mean, Howe's done exceptionally well in cups. I mean, look at his time here. 2 finals,
Fabulous
I think
record.
2 or 3 semi-finals, quarter-finals, Chelsea as well. So, yeah, he is very good in cups. I don't think anybody can say he's not.
By the way, that's despite some horrific draws that we've had in cup.
Awful draws. Yeah.
Got to be in it to win it as well.
Gavin Gavin Fuller has just said exactly what I was going to chip in with, which is that a run through to the FA Cup final might be the easiest way for us to get into the Europa League.
God, I don't know about easy. No cup's easy, is it?
Well, easier than us trying to finish in the top 6, maybe. If we don't.
Well, as I mentioned in the forum
yesterday,
yesterday, to everybody who could be bothered to read it, potentially you could finish 9th in the league this year and still get Europe.
Yeah, I don't want the Conference League.
Yeah.
Conference League's a complete
Champions
waste
League
of a
teams
competition.
win both the cups, and obviously Arsenal or Man City are going to win the Carabao, so there's already 2 Conference League places now.
Yeah.
We're now going to thank Wazza for that super chat.
Yeah, go on.
I haven't seen it.
Just pop through, mate.
Oh, there you go.
There we are.
It only takes a second to score and 3 seconds to make hay. Who's JJ? JJ must be in the chat.
Must be.
I'm a little bit stuck with FA Cup. I'd love to have a go at it. I'd love to win it. But honestly, I can't lie, right? The pressure I felt yesterday watching that game for Eddie Howe, because of my emotional connection to him, was awful. I was like, not shaking. I wasn't that but I was a bit like, oh my goodness gracious, please don't lose this. I couldn't cope. And then we won it and I had relief, and I was sat at home and I was just like, oh, thank God, I can go about my day normally tomorrow, not worrying about, like, am I going to check on my phone and there's reports growing about a new manager and all that rubbish. Anyway, speaking of new manager, let's say I'm going to chuck a hypothetical at you because I love a good hypothetical, as do all Newcastle fans. It's not about winning the Champions League. It's not about winning the FA Cup. It's actually about not qualifying for Europe at all this season and not winning a cup. If that was to happen, I think a lot of people who I've spoken to as part of this show would say it's time for a new manager, a new start, 2.0 of a rebuild. However, one thing we know about Eddie Howe is if it's one game a season and there's no Europe, we are excellent. So I guess the question I'm asking is, if that happens, I understand the thought process around a new start, a new manager, but with one game a week, Eddie's record is absolutely insane. When you look at the 2 seasons we've qualified for the Champions League, and I'm just going to hopefully, I'm not putting it on screen, but the seasons we haven't had Europe, we've averaged 1.93 points a game and 1.94 points a game. That is insane. So if we don't get Europe and we don't win a cup and it's one game a week, is Eddie better than everybody else available right now to stay and get us back into the Champions League? I know exactly where I'm going first because I think I know what his answer is going to be, and I know exactly where I'm going after him because I know it'll be the opposite. So, Borky, is Howe the best man if we don't qualify for Europe?
Just from Wazza's super chat there, GJ meant good job. I think he's
Good
talking
job.
to you, Kev. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
No bother. No. If Eddie doesn't get with Europe or a cup this season, he's gone in my view. You know, what happens if we get Europe the season after? You know, what happens?
It's a good point. Michael's put a comment in about if we get Europe the season after, obviously we can't preempt a poor season. But if we want to get to Europe, we know the one man who can do it at our club with this squad of players. We know he can do it. If that's the logic, then, do we stick with him, get into Europe, and then have a conversation if he can balance it again or not? Because we could bring in shiny new managers don't mean shiny new things. Look at Tottenham, Conte, Mourinho, Postecoglou, Frank's now gone. They can't get anywhere near it. They can't even do one game a week. So, look.
Can I answer this in one quick question? One answer. No, he doesn't stay. That's my answer. But in regards to this, why aren't Tottenham in for Howe?
It might be.
Is there any rumours of them coming in for him? Why, when the big jobs come up, to no other clubs come in for Howe? Do you think it's because they realise that he's a great Premier League manager, but he can't do it week in, week out when you're playing 2 games a week?
Ooh, it's an interesting point. And I don't want to just disagree with you because it's a very good point. But we did have the likes of Roy Keane, ex-professionals, talk about how potentially going to Man United and being there for a long time in terms of longevity being important. But I just think, I don't know, in any other business, And football is a business now, let's be honest. If you've got somebody there who you know can perform under certain conditions, and them conditions come back around, there's not many other businesses who would then make that change. We would at least, which is very unlike football, wait until he gets us there again and then have a conversation. So, Win, what do you think about that? I mean, I think you've said previously, Win, if I'm not mistaken, but you would also think it's the right time for how to go if we don't get Europe or win a cup. But going off my logic, has it changed your mind in terms of any other business would never change that environment when we know it succeeds?
No, but it was a paradox that I raised myself a few weeks back. But as far as I'm concerned, with the squad of players that we've got, we should definitely be, qualifying for Europe. There's no extras. You can use any metric you want in terms of money, salaries, etc., etc., etc. And we should be top 6, 7, 8 at the most. And right now, that would be enough to get us into Europe, I believe. And if we can't do that, sorry, for a lot of the reasons that have been brought up by the fantasists, game management.
Oh, we don't want any division today. Come on.
Substitutions. There's a plethora of things which I have come out and criticised Howe for, and they have always, in my opinion, been overcome by all of his other qualities, which outweigh all of that, including
I'm
his
Howe out now.
favoritism and so on and so forth. So if we don't qualify for Europe, no, I'm afraid thank you very much, but that's the end of it. And actually, here's the thing. I don't think you would have to peddle him, because I think if he didn't qualify for Europe, I think he would go. I think he would leave, resign.
I think he'd step aside. What I would like to chuck into that, though, Kev, is your initial assumption that he can't handle a European campaign. Because if you remember, it was only through a scabby Man United win in the FA Cup that we didn't qualify for Europe the first time. And then the second time, we've still got 12 games to play. And as Win says, if it goes all the way down to 9th, he probably will get us into Europe this year. So your whole premise is, what is a polite word for bollocks?
Oh, careful.
Language.
Careful. Come on, we're on radio now. Future award-winning show and all that stuff. Right, I do get what you're saying. And to be honest, I'm just trying to find any sort of angle to keep Howe forever, because I am a massive Howe fan. However, it is important.
Listen, there's no bigger Howe fan than I am.
Well, I don't know. I'd rival you. I think. Look, we've got to think as well. I'm always scared of change in terms of football managers. If you look at the league right now, the two teams at the top have had their managers for a long time. And I'm sure Arteta finished 8th. And at one point, Arsenal fans were calling for Arteta to go. The board were very clever. They acted like businessmen. They took into account what Arteta could perform with and what he could do. And they tried to put a strategy in place to allow Arteta to thrive. And I just personally think, like we've seen with Tottenham, like we've seen with, Wolves changed manager, we've had a slight uplift. West Ham changed manager, slight uplift. Man United have, but then it looked like they could slowly be going back to the old selves. And even Aston Villa, who have had a very good season, have had their manager there a while as well. So I guess what I'm trying to get across is stability at this moment in time in the Premier League is outperforming switching managers all the time. That is just when you look at the table. Now, like I said, I put a hypothetical situation in, and I'm a massive Howe fan. But it's very important to have a think of, if we change, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get better. It has to be the right environment for a manager, I think. It's the same as a player. Some players go to clubs and perform extremely well, but it's because of the environment created at that club to allow them to perform. It's the same with managers. Thomas Frank is a very good manager. He had the correct environment at Brentford. He had the correct expectations, not a lot of pressure, and he succeeded and took Brentford miles above where we should be. And Keith Andrews is now carrying on his work and his success into that. So you can change a manager and carry on with that, but Brentford have a bigger game plan. We're a smaller club. They'll probably make the decision of who goes, who comes, who's the sellable assets, and who isn't. If Newcastle's trying to compete with the elite clubs like Man City, like Arsenal, which is where we want to be eventually, of course, and even Liverpool, because we had Klopp for a long time, and Klopp was allowed to walk away on his own accord, I think 8 years. So longevity at this moment in time in the Premier League is outperforming switching managers. So does it mean that a new manager just gets more patience with fans and that keeps fans happy? Because let's face it, Eddie Howe does make mistakes. None of us can say he doesn't. Every manager makes mistakes. At the end of the day, he's a human being. But more likely, he makes the right decision than not. And Tottenham, he made some brave calls. Dan Burn at left back was a very brave call. Lewis Hall has been our best performer by an absolute mile, and he thought it was the right time for Burn to be there. Now, regardless of if Burn got done a couple of times, and people could argue Hall, that wouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, we won the game, and results mean more than anything right now, especially for an under-pressure Newcastle United. So I want to get your thoughts before we move on to the next topic I want to talk about is, with longevity completely outperforming switching managers in the Premier League at this moment in time, would that actually make you think, or would it make you nervous? I know you've answered the question already about it would be time for a new manager, but would the change make you nervous? Would it make you excited? Would it simply just give you more patience as a fan to allow somebody to get something wrong because they've been there less of a time? Or am I just talking, like Ian said, a whole load of a word I won't repeat, in trying any angle to get how to remain? Go on, Borky.
Never be scared of change, Kevin. Never be
Never.
scared. Never,
Oh,
ever. Change is a good thing. Change is exciting.
not
Yes,
always in
things
the
can
Prem. Not always in the Prem.
things can go wrong, things can go right, but it proves that as a club, we are trying to develop if we do change. You know what, we had Martin, I think a big point to make on this is we had Martin on here, who was a Man City fan the other night before the Man City game, and he said, how is our Mark Hughes? So how's the one that's got the program running? He's brought the players in. He's got to a point. But don't be scared to change that now. Let's
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
would develop. And Wynn's big point sometimes is that Howe took one when Emery turned wood down, but Emery turned down because he had more of a managerial reputation to lose than Howe did. So don't never be scared of change. Just if Howe's done well, but move on to the next level now. Let's get
Yeah,
a
change isn't always
proper
good.
elite manager in. It's not
I
always
think he
good,
isn't.
and it might fail completely, but it might work. Don't be scared. Just roll with the punches.
I think he is an elite manager, though. I think he genuinely is. I know people look at like he only managed Bournemouth and stuff, but what he did at Bournemouth was absolutely insane. Granted, in 2 separate spells, but to go from League 2 to the Premier League and finish, I think the highest finish was 9th with players like Adam Smith, who had been there for ages coming through, and Steve Cook, who was a centre half. And I don't know. I just think he is an elite coach, is what I will definitely say. In terms of a manager, he obviously makes mistakes, but again, it's tough. I've seen so many changes go wrong. Win, what's your thoughts on it in terms of I mean, it is factual right now in terms of longevity is outperforming quick changes in the Premier League. Would that make you keep out even without Europe?
My patience threshold is larger than it has ever been.
Mine is as well.
Because I learned my lesson when
Bobby.
I lost patience with Sir Bobby.
I
Look
never
where
loved
that
kids,
sent
so
us.
yeah.
So, 2020 hindsight, a wonderful thing, but I like to think that I've learned, when you suffer misfortune in life, the best thing that can happen is that you can learn from it. And that's where I am now with Eddie. But I look at, you're saying absolutely correctly about this longevity thing. How many West Ham fans now
Oh, would kill
are
for David
wishing
Moyes
that
back.
they'd had a bit more patience with Moyes, who got them
Great point.
got them in the top 6 regular Champions League, won their first trophy for yonks, and then they suddenly
Yonks.
decided they were a bigger club than what they were, and they should be doing this, they should be doing that. and look what's happened to them since. How the mighty have fallen.
But when
Oh, yeah.
flip that the other way, how many Man City fans are sitting there thinking we should have kept hold of Mark Hughes because when we bought, was it Mancini? Was it? I got the right name. When we brought
Yeah.
him in, he won with the league. Sometimes change is good, and I understand the reservations and understand the fear, but change can be good.
Yeah, but Mark
Borky,
Hughes.
I
Go on,
I
mate, go on,
agree
you.
with Borky that change is a good thing, but I think you've got to time your change for it to give you the impetus to move forward when there's some sort of stagnation and there's nothing further to come from the incumbent manager. Kev's absolutely right in that longevity does have a better record in
Outperforms, yeah.
general than switching, and I don't think having a poor run of 4 or 5 games is enough for for how to be finished. I think what he showed last night with the way the players are all playing for him,
It was
the way
amazing
that
to
away
see.
crowd
Yeah.
celebrated him, which means a lot of the crowd is behind him still, that he's not finished. He's not got to his level yet. And I suspect, like Kev, that we think Eddie in the end will prove that he's an elite manager. We've got to be patient with him. The change I like and I'm excited by is swapping out one of two of our first buys that have improved in value and using that money wisely and discovering more, getting more top players into the squad by working that transfer market in the way that we started doing, which we didn't last year. I don't think, even if those players come good, I think we're paid top dollar for all of them. We just need to change the squad that way. So I wouldn't be scared of a change, which means Isak goes and new players come in, or this summer Tonali goes or Gordon goes and we bring some replacement players in. That's when you can unearth the gems that they've got higher ceiling. But I do think that and it goes back to the point you're making, why is nobody coming in for Howe? Both in his time at Bournemouth and his time at Newcastle,
Been very
the
loyal.
world knows that he is fully engaged in a way that other managers aren't. He's fully engaged with the area, the people, as well as the club. And they don't want to come and ask Eddie Howe to be told, "No, you're joking, aren't you?" I mean, even England didn't ask him because they knew he wouldn't come because he's so engaged in his project that he's working at. So that's why nobody's chasing after Eddie Howe. They don't think he's going to come because he's not finished here. So I agree with you. Change is good. Let's change the squad gradually in a controlled manner. And until Eddie Howe looks like he's hit a plateau and he can't take it any further forward, we don't need to think about changing the manager. And I'm like Mighty Win. I think he will know himself first and he'll step aside in a way like Keegan did when we're not expecting it. He'll come to that
Yeah.
decision himself. He
What a
doesn't
nice
need to push
balance
it.
to have there. I'm going to let Boaky come back though because he's biting it. He's chomping at the bit
No.
here.
I was just going to say, can I give a rundown of the Premier League scores tonight? Because I think there'll be one that
Absolutely, go on,
everyone will be
Boaky. Take
happy
it away.
with.
Take it away.
1-0 Aston Villa beat Brighton. Man City beat Fulham 3-0. Forest and Wolves drew 0-0. Palace and Burnley won 3-2. And the most exciting one, Sunderland 0, Liverpool 1.
Hey, no, but it means
Ooh.
we are now back above Sunderland. We're in 10th place on 36 points,
Well, I don't care about them.
and that puts us now 8 points behind Chelsea in the final Champions League position.
Is that the fifth
You
spot?
hope
Yeah,
Arsenal
8 points off
8
fifth.
points behind fifth, 9 points behind
fourth,
fourth.
and you hope
And we've
Arsenal
got
do
both those
Brentford.
teams to play, by the way.
You hope Arsenal do Brentford tomorrow night so they don't get any further ahead of us either because they're 7th or 8th, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see Brentford staying there, to be honest.
Some of the comments have been amazing, by the way. Kim Cam has put a good question in there, but also somebody commented on Ian's duck jump. That's a hell of a jump of that, mind, Ian.
Fucking geese, not ducks. Come on.
I was going to say, is it?
Language, just geese. Jeez, what's happening?
Sorry.
You
Geese.
quackers.
I think.
Oh,
I have got a duck one.
Let's have a gander.
But oh,
everybody.
see what you've
Right.
done now. mentioning
let's get some control back.
Let's come
Another
on, let's
thing-
gaggle on.
Another thing I want to talk about, because we've been very balanced tonight and we're kind of bouncing off each other. Well, I'm enjoying it. Bruno could potentially be injured. Howe has said that Bruno's worried about it, which is very bad if a player himself is worried about the actual injury, not just desperate to say, keep me on and play, because Bruno's done that before, very recently this season. Right. Bruno, if he's out, how do we fix that problem? Because our record without him is horrendous. We genuinely cannot afford to drop too many more points. I think obviously City away, you wouldn't expect to pick up points, but Everton and Man U in the league, you've got to start looking at them home games as picking up points. How do we do it without Bruno? Do we go 5 at the back? Do we have an extra midfielder in there? Does Toon Army come back into form if he's fresh? Does he make up for it short term? Joe Linton's still a little while off yet. Tino's still a while off. It's a big worry for me in terms of a Newcastle fan. If Bruno's not playing, we never, ever, ever look the same. Do we put Volta as a 10? I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. I have very small ideas, but I'm not a coach. Win, how on earth, if he is injured for a while, do we get through without Bruno? We can't not pick up points now. That's a double negative there, so it doesn't make sense. But we need to pick up points is what I'm trying to say. How do we do it without Bruno?
Well, doesn't that very question signify who is, without any doubt, the most important player in our team? Because we don't, and you said, is Toon Army going to recapture his form? And I'm not a Toon Army basher. I love Toon Army. I love the way he plays. But he's not a Bruno. He hasn't got that creative touch in him that unlocks a defense. And it's difficult to replace him. I think this is why we bought Ramsey, as cover for Bruno, because he is the out of the signings. He's the one who can carry the ball forward. He can kind of do stuff. He's got a trick.
Is Ramsey the one who comes into form and replaces Bruno? That's quite interesting.
And fortunately, it looks as though he is coming into a bit of form. So that would be where I would hitch my wagon.
So you're putting yours on Ramsey. I mean, it's not a bad shout, actually. He is obviously coming into form, but I mean, God, there's a bit of pressure for you. You finally get on your feet, son.
Step into those shoes, why don't you?
Yeah, have a go at that. Borky, have you got any ideas? Would you change formation? Would you kind of play more in midfield? Would you go maybe 4-4-2? Would you have Volta as a 10? Or do you think Ramsey can do it?
I'm tempted to say it to you, no, we're goosed without Bruno in midfield.
Why did I mention the jumper comment?
But I really don't know. How do you solve a problem like Bruno being out the squad, out the team?
I can sing that one as well, actually.
The amount of song references we've got in tonight is incredible.
You think incredible.
You think we would have had a bet beforehand, wouldn't you? But anyway,
dancing on the ceiling.
I really don't see how you do solve the
Bruno
issue.
It doesn't matter, Borky. We'll do it our way.
I think it's impossible. Ask a baby not to cry. It's
what have I done? I've caused chaos.
Jesus Christ. Wind singing's always a nightmare. But no, how do you solve the issue with Bruno? Because he's such a good player. He's such a brilliant player. He's such an inspiration to this squad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? I've called him out in the past for being the captain, but over the last few weeks, I've kind of realised why he is. Because he's so much the focal point of this team. I really don't know the answer how you deal with him being out. I think the only thing you can do is, say it to the likes of Tino and say it to the likes of... The problem is Joe Linton's not there as well. Say it to the likes of Ramsey. Yep, say it to the likes of Ramsey. Look, lads, you've got to step up. You see what that guy does week in, week out for us. You see how good he is for us. You see how he develops this team, how he bosses everything. He sort of, he keeps just moving forward. You guys have to step up and do that. And I think the big one to do that to is Toon Army. I think you have to say to him, look, lad, you really need to step up. You really, really need to be, you're not playing with your regular two midfielders. You're the only one there. That's the regular starter. You need to step up and you need to take control. Because I think part of the issue is as well, even if Miley gets fit, the likelihood is he's going to have to drop in at right back to give Trips a rest. So it's not even if you've got that option. So potentially over the next few weeks, your midfielders, Tonali, Willock, and Ramsey, and the most senior player in that, maybe it's not in age, but in regards to playing, is Tonali. So he really needs to step up to the plate.
Yeah, when I thought about this question, I didn't think of Ramsey, I'll admit, but Miley, who you mentioned there, Buck, he was one of the ones who potentially I thought could. I mean, he's nowhere near Bruno yet, but in terms of, the passion, the leadership, the calmness on the ball is something we need. It's actually, funny enough, another thing I didn't think we did well enough for 2-1 up. Not that I have many negatives from the Spurs game, but again, that final 5 minutes, just get your foot on the ball and keep it. But we're going to come to that in a second anyway. Ian, who, if anybody, can replace Bruno? And we've got one shout of, again, potentially Ramsey. He's come at it from a lot more of a tactical, getting Tonali back on board type of angle. What about yourself?
Firstly, he's not missed that many games, has he? The last game that he missed was away at PSG, which we did all right in. I think he missed. Did he miss the Liverpool match as well? Which we started fantastically well. We are capable of playing against the best opposition without him. That's the first point. We haven't done it against lesser opposition. We've drawn a lot of them. We haven't lost every game that he hasn't played. I know we haven't won when he hasn't played. That's going to get it into some sort of mental thing. That's got to be got rid of. And they would look back at when they have performed well without him. Now, if you can get Willock and Ramsey performing as well as they did against Tottenham, and Tonali starts his resurgence because Eddie's had a proper clear the air talk to him, then why not? Why can we not play as well as we have done without him, but actually put the ball in the net as well and actually win a game or two? We just need to win one, and it'll go away. But you're right. Craig Hope says that nearly every game when we're struggling, Bruno dons his Superman cape and comes to the rescue, which he does. But yeah, it'll have to be down to individual responsibility and desire and belief. And that's down to Eddie Howe to instill in them, isn't it?
And my only worry there is that Eddie Howe, yesterday, when his back was well and truly against the wall, everything on the line, and he left Tonali on the bench. Now, we've mentioned earlier on in the show, could that have been because he was keeping his powder dry for Villa? Potentially.
I think so.
But his neck's on the block there last night, and he left Tonali on the bench. And I believe it's because whether his head's been turned or what, we've heard all the various rumours about him going, and we've seen with our own eyes that he's not performing anywhere near where he was last season.
Another massive decision for Newcastle.
I tell you, if you want a creative player in midfield, we got it the last 10 minutes last night when Bruno went off because Byrne was at left back and Lewis Hall came in to midfield. And
he's played there before.
And he is by trade a midfielder. It's only Potter, I think, turned him into fullback to get him out on Chelsea. Maybe this player, I think he could play anywhere. To be fair,
it's a good shout.
I thought of that.
It's a rogue shout. I mean, that question there has come up with. I mean, we should be working for the two here, lads. Jacob Ramsey, get Tonali back on board, Hall back into his original position of a centre midfielder. Absolutely magic. Another issue Newcastle have had, and what I thought was very interesting to kind of see from Howe after the game when he got asked about starting Gordon through the middle, he spoke about having a striker up there who is very mobile and can move, well, he didn't say move fast, but can get around the pitch faster. Not a great comment if you're Volta. Also, especially if you're Wissa. I guess less for Volta in terms of he's not that type of player, never has been, and they knew what they were getting when they signed him anyway. Maybe trying to change the style a little bit with Volta, but realised it's going to be more of a long-term goal to change that style. But for Wissa, my goodness, and I must admit, I've got to go on record, when I did a pod with Ian and Michael in a previous life, I really wanted Wissa. Wissa was one of my choices. I said I'd rather have him than Mbeumo. What an awful shout that has turned out to be. But we've got to own our mistakes. I don't know where Wissa goes because I haven't seen anything from Wissa at the minute. And that's why I said at the start of, or the end of the last show, was I'd have Volta up top against Villa. However, is Gordon our best choice going forward as a striker for the rest of the season? Because you can almost just re-implement the Isak tactic. You know, he's as mobile. He's not as good as Isak through the middle, of course he's not, but he's as mobile. He showed great feet to set up Ramsey. He linked the player well, which again is the big positive of having Volta in there. He's almost a bit of a combination of both. I think what might let him down a little bit is one-on-one situations. I'm not fully convinced by him if he does break the lines and get through one-on-one. However, he also needs to cut his hair, because if Willock had a trim, we would have won that 3-1. So you can't be having long hair playing up front these days, can you? Thanks, VAR. Another thing you've ruined. But what's the crack with a striker situation then, lads? I mean, is Gordon our best bet for the rest of the season? Personally, I think
if it's down to short hair, Kevin, Wissa's got to be first choice.
I personally think Wissa's third choice. I haven't seen much from him. Volta would be my first choice, and Gordon would be my second personally. But I want to get your thoughts on it. Bogey, who is best for the rest of the season now? If we have a full 11, fully fit 11, and we're moving forward and we're going to challenge for trophy in Europe, who do you start as for striker now?
Well, I think we've had a goosey gander at the mall, haven't we? Really, we've
I'll tell you what, a jumper's got to come on every time, Ian. It's got Bogey on fire.
No, don't worry. Tomorrow night I'll have bears, so you can work on some jokes about them. Okay, I'll put the bear.
That'll be unbearable.
I think we've seen all the strikers this season, and none of them have done anything really, have they? I mean, Volta had a good start.
Yeah, he had a period.
Yep, he had a period, but then he went off completely.
And he had a period.
Wissa hasn't had any sort of period, and sort of Langa's just like, as I said last night, he's like a bag of frogs. He's mental. You know, you never know what you're going to get.
I did leave Asula out. Actually, you mentioned a bag of frogs, and I call Asula all the time. He's like a Labrador with ADHD. Like, he's just everywhere. He's absolutely crazy. So Asula could be an option, but personally, I think Asula's not up to scratch.
I mean, is Gordon the best choice at the minute? I think he's probably the best of a bad lot, to be honest.
Style of play, I think he does. Yep. He might fit best. He might, because we haven't learned how to play with Volta yet, but I still think there's opportunity there to learn to play with him. But yeah, it's difficult in terms of style of play. Wayne, what are you thinking about the striking situation? Are you a big fan of Asula?
No, I'm not a big fan. What I fully admit is that he creates chaos, but that's about it.
Our gappers in the chat going crazy. He's not a fan of Gordon, and we're talking about Gordon being the way forward for the rest of the season as a striker.
If all of our strikers were fully fit, was what you said. And I'm like you. I thought Wissa was going to be our silver bullet, and I still believe if Wissa can get fully fit, he will definitely be the answer.
Why is he not fully fit yet, though, Wayne? Why is he not fully fit yet? Since November.
Yeah.
You know, you combine. It's a combination of things, isn't it? He had no pre-season, self-inflicted, admittedly, but no pre-season. Then he went and got crocked when he probably wasn't fully fit anyway, playing for Congo. And he's come back, and you know, to be fair, as I said earlier on, he's missed chances that he would have been taken last season. But at least he's getting into the positions to miss those chances. It's the consolation that I take from that. And when I saw that lineup yesterday, I thought, my God. Peter the Twin was saying he thought it gave us our best chance, and Peter proved to be right.
I called 2-1 as well. I was buzzing when I saw this. This guy's like, I said 2-1 in the pod after being an absolute bag of nerves.
Yeah,
Ian?
I said
well,
3-1, and it should have
if you
been.
watched the live last night, I was a complete bag of nerves because I just
Yeah,
think,
we care too much, don't we, as
we're
fans?
creating so much, and it's on the cards that we're going to score and then they're going to equalise. It's going to be more points lost from winning positions. It just didn't augur well at all, and then of course it happened and the equalised. I thought, oh, here we go. Somebody's going to drop a bollock. We're going to get beat 2-1, and the knives are going to be out. And this is what it's
Didn't
like.
happen.
This is what it's like right now being a Newcastle fan.
Mm.
It's all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Striker Ian, rest of the season.
just Gordon up front for me
Yeah.
is a no.
Oh, not at
70
all.
million. 70 million pound Voltemada, 55 million pound Wisser. We've got to make them work. We've got to. Voltemada's shown that he has got stuff to offer. He started really, really well. We've just got to work a way that we can play with him in the team. If that's as a number 10, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 5 at the back with the double pivot of and Voltemada up front with somebody else close to him, whether that's Wisser or Gordon or Barnes even. I don't know. But Voltemada needs to be able to come off the play and then be available to get into the box when there's some crosses coming in. I know that seems an obvious thing to say, and he doesn't do it. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think what I
But I
did
think
see.
you've got to play. You've got to play. They cost 70 million and 55. That's got to be the answer. Because to be honest, Gordon's best down the left wing. He is.
Mhm.
I know he can do a job in centre forward, but he's still only scored 1 goal from open play since
I
last
think
January.
Barnes is better down the left wing than Gordon now, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I was never really a fan of Barnes until this season. I liked him and I thought he was okay, but I never thought he was the way forward. But for me, if it comes down to left wing, I think Barnes has to start for the rest of the season. He's had an incredible season. He actually goes past people now, and that was my main gripe with him. Was, my God, you've got such a good finish. Learn something where you get a yard, but he's actually not just getting a yard now. He's actually going past people, which I'm mega impressed with. Gavin made a good point about we've got to get the strikers' confidence there because it's going to be so important for the rest of the season. And we need to find a way to get them to play together. Now, what's also massively important is what's coming up. Villa away we spoke about. We've got Karabag, obviously 2 legs, and in between that we've got Man City. So I guess the Karabag first, I think after that, depending on what happens in the Champions League, we slowly start to get breaks. At this moment in time, between Man United at home and Chelsea away, we have a 10-day rest, which Newcastle haven't had since the very first game of the season. So we are getting into that position where how in previous seasons has put together runs, lots of time on the training ground, depending on how the cups go, of course, and where we go from there. So I'm not 100% sure if now is the time to experiment and keep playing strikers who aren't in form, or if we just go back to the old way. Gordon, do your best Isaac impression and see what we can come up with. Right. Last question, because go on.
I don't
Ian,
think you've
quickly before I ask the last
exhausted what. I don't think you've exhausted what Asula can do, given more than 15 minutes, 20 minutes. He's fast, he's strong, he's tall, he can head the ball. We've seen him score a couple of headers. He's mental, so the defenders haven't got a clue what he can do.
Mental.
Up against Villa, you've got Constant and Mings probably playing centre half.
Tino.
Yeah, he could keep them.
Can't mention Asula and Tino in the same sentence.
He could keep them both occupied because he's a powerful runner. I think that Asula is a secret weapon. I'm not sure how it's deployed, but I think I would like to see him get more than 15 or 20 minutes because, even when he came on at Tottenham, he had far more impact on the game through his running and his closing down than Voltemada or whoever else it was, Murphy, that came on 15 minutes before him. He's straight into it. And I like that effort. I think if he's doing all of that, the rest of the team's picking up energy from him as well.
Pick up, yeah.
Don't know what you think. Have we really seen enough of him to say he's no good? With the cameos I've seen, I'm encouraged by him. And now he's had more than a year of training with Howe and Tyndall. If he's a project, he should be coming to some sort of should be coming to the boil, shouldn't he? And if Villa are after getting him, there must be something there.
I think what I did see live against Brentford when Volta came on, the ball went out wide, and I've said this a couple of times, and what really bugs me with Wissa is when I watch him live, a striker knows you stay in between the centre-halves, so if a cross beats the first centre-half, you're next in line, and you get across the front of that second one, or you make the run to the front post towards the first centre-half, so to speak, in terms of where the cross is coming from, and you can cause corners with a flick on, or drag a bigger gap for the left winger or right winger to come in, depending on where you are. That is basic 101. Striker, very basic. Wissa doesn't do that. He runs behind both centre-halves for some reason, and I'm not sure why. What Volta did against Brentford when the ball went out wide to Elanga was he actually had the run on a Brentford defender, and I think there was a call for a penalty. I don't know if it was on Bruno, because Bruno got pulled back at the same time as well. But Volta, if you go back and watch that, has his run on a man. I've never seen him move so quick, so it must be something they're working on. But again, how much time do you give it until we literally, I think we're already at the point where we can't afford to lose any points, personally, other than maybe Man City away. I'm looking at and thinking you can't go there with any expectation, especially when we're chasing Arsenal, who could absolutely capitulate. But yeah, interesting to kind of see what's happening live as well when you're at the game, because it doesn't always get picked up on Sky. Right. Season is probably at the most important point. So what I'm going to ask you now is, I want a prediction in terms of where you think, we've had lots of time to talk about it, this could be a turning point for Newcastle, and the reason I'm doing it now is because some of us are going to look like idiots and be held accountable because we think yesterday it could have been a turning point. Some of us might also look a little bit silly thinking that we're going to go back to not winning. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of football. But what prediction in terms of the league do we think we are going to be at now? We've had the results come in from Bogey, our live correspondent at the games previously tonight. And we've had the results in. We've had Mighty Win update us on the table. We're now above Sunderland. I mean, I don't even like mentioning them. That's almost a swear. But where we're going to finish, and I'm very interested to see the comments, because at the minute the comments have been flying through. Lee thinks Win's going to say top 3, so I'm going to go to Win first. Win, where do we finish now this season?
I think top 3 is probably out of it, but I'm going
to... Just slightly.
Well, no, because you mentioned the 10-day break we've got after...
That helps. It again depends on FA
Cup. The 10-day break we've got after Chelsea, but we've then got an even bigger break after the next 2 games.
Internationals come back as if we're international breaks.
The international break this time it's ridiculous. You know, they've scrapped 2 weeks. So we've got an even bigger time then, not just to get Eddie on the pitch doing his thing, but to get injured players back and, you know, just breathe life into the squad generally. So I am going to say 5th or 6th.
Oh, 5th.
And depending on injuries and how we're performing, and let's see if your Ramses and your Elangas.
That means we're going to have to get above either Liverpool, Chelsea, Man U, Villa, Man City, or Arsenal. Obviously, we're definitely not getting above Arsenal, Man City. Villa, funnier things have happened, but unlikely. So we have to get above Man United, Chelsea, or Liverpool there. When that is if that comes off, right, that deserves to be clipped and played forever. That's insane.
We're 8 points off. We've got them to play.
Bogey, what are you thinking?
I'm going to give 2 answers. If we stick with Howe, we'll finish 9th or 10th.
We're definitely sticking with Howe.
Yep. If we don't, we'll finish 7th or 8th.
Who comes in if we don't more? Deserby's available.
But it doesn't matter.
Areola was linked, I think.
It doesn't matter who's available. We can go. This is the
I know,
problem that we've
but
got.
I
People,
mean,
people think who's available. It doesn't matter. We can go in and get players, get a manager from another club.
yeah,
We can
that's what I meant.
steal other clubs'
That's why I
managers.
mentioned Iriola from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I didn't mean who's available in terms of who's free. I meant who could we possibly get. So I hold my hands up on that one. I put, but who could we get? I think Iriola maybe potentially. I think De Zerbi is out there, but my God, that is chaos. I mean, Newcastle fans are addicted to chaos, it seems. So De Zerbi could bring that and more. But I'm not sure if there's many other available who I think Glasner would probably be linked, I would assume, from Palace. But both, funnily enough, Iriola and Glasner have both been on runs similar to Howe recently, where their stock is going. I mean, I don't think Howe's is, but their stock's going down because they're in horrendous kind of positions in terms of form. So even they're having dips at the minute. So with Eddie Howe, your answer is
9th or 10th.
9th or 10th. All right. So we've got 9th and 10th, 5th or 6th. So it looks like we're given 2. I'll allow it. Ian, where we're finishing this season?
6th.
6th?
I've hedged me bets. 6th. Qualifying for Europe.
Oh, my goodness
Qualifying
gracious
for
me.
the Europa League by winning the FA Cup. No.
How do we
Qualifying
get
for
above
Europe.
them? I was
Chelsea,
probably,
Man United. Chelsea, Man United, as inconsistent as we are, right? We've just been on a little bad run, played a lot of difficult teams. They've had some easy games. They'll still have tough games to come. Man U have got to come to St James's Park. Everton have got to come to St James's Park. We go to Chelsea. Chelsea just lost a 2-0 lead to Leeds just yesterday. I don't think Chelsea are all that, to be honest. We get after them. So I'm not worried about catching them. But I know 8 points is a lot to get, but when we're playing them, if we can win the games when we're playing against them, that's 3 of the 8 points back straight away, isn't it? And I've always clung on to the fact that other than Arsenal being in our last 8 games, there's a good run to go on to finish the season off. And if we build up a head of steam and we're turning to play at Arsenal on 4 straight wins, for example, you never know. They might be
and
just.
Arsenal hopefully already won the league and don't need to win anything.
Can I just quickly say I'm getting called out in the chat for not giving an actual answer.
Getting hammered here.
I'm getting hammered. 9th. We'll finish 9th. How will stay at the end of the season? That's my prediction. If How stays, we finish 9th.
Oh,
and
my
and he qualifies for Europe, then presumably.
Could be potentially.
Just out of interest, Chelsea's fixtures coming
go
up.
on and win.
They've got Hull City away in the cup, and then they've got home to Burnley, so we'll give them 3 points for that. Then they are away at Arsenal, away at Villa, home to us, away at Everton, home to Man City, home to Man United, away to Brighton, and then home to Forest. That is not a favourable, set of fixtures. Man United have got Everton away on Saturday.
They play each other. That's good for us.
They play each other. And of course, they play Chelsea as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man United, then home to Crystal Palace, we'll give them that. Away to us, home to Villa, away to Bournemouth, home to Leeds, away to Chelsea, as I've already said, and then home to Brentford, home to Liverpool, and away at Sunderland.
Before he gets on to the rest of the league, Kev, above we can move on from this one because he will just rattle off team after team after team.
Yeah, let's go.
What I'm saying is our fixture list looks a lot more favourable than either Chelsea or Man United, who are the 2 teams that essentially we've got to get above.
But
to
win
be
last
fit for
weekend,
6.
last weekend looked favourable when we were playing Brentford.
Did?
And what happened?
What
You
do you
know,
mean, Bruno?
exactly. So you can rattle off team after team after team. Everybody in the Premier League knows every team can beat every team. So it's pointless naming teams that you're going to be playing and saying, "Oh, we're going to do this or that," because it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the Premier League now.
Because it's getting
Yeah.
better or because it's getting worse?
Well, because the way it's getting financed, sorry, the way the finance is now, no team can particularly try to pull away from another team apart from the big teams who've got the sponsorship.
No, I wasn't particularly asking that question to you, but I was
Good point.
opening it to the field. It is this inconsistency that everybody's pointing to because the Premier League is getting worse, or is it because the Premier League's getting better? Because all of the lesser teams with the finance that's there now can build squads and teams that hitherto they couldn't have dreamt of,
Well, look at Sunderland getting promoted this season. Exactly.
and then spending 137 million.
hmm
I think the business itself's
I think
changed. So, like clubs like Brentford and Brighton live off signing unheard of players and making them stars. And that's how they kind of keep afloat. And they have to get that right because if they don't, they'll get relegated. So, the way it's gone in terms of statistics and value for money, and we don't potentially now look at a player's potential to keep, and he turns into a great player. But look at the player's potential in terms of can we get money from him to then reinvest it again and absolutely rip off a Chelsea or a Newcastle or whoever is willing to pay for it, and
it's usually
we
Chelsea if you're
stay
Brighton.
afloat. So I think the business itself's changed in the Premier League. It's really strange that now the whole business side is taking over. Personally, I think when you look at the Premier League teams in Europe, they are thriving. So I think it probably is the best league. I used to always argue La Liga was better because you always had teams who would have a go. They might lose 4 or 5-0, but they would try and outpass a Real or Barca. And I just prefer that type of kind of mentality anyway. But again, with the statistics available, the coverage available, the scouting now, it's absolutely mental in terms of all the information we know about players. And that's another issue. There will be a new style of football very, very soon, which will go from high pressing intensity beating the way forward to something else. Before that, it was tiki-taka. Before that, it was get the ball out wide and get the cross into 2 up front. The diamond came in. You had the Invincibles kind of start tiki-taka, and Pep take it to a whole new level in terms of keep the ball because you can't be hurt if you've got it. So it looks like the 90s are coming back in when you look at Brentford and the long throw and them completely overachieving and Arsenal being pretty much a glorified Stoke City. Then
Omo!
you are looking at that. So, yeah, I think potentially 90s is back, and
Bring back
that's why Volta
4-4-2.
could be perfect. Yeah, Volta could be perfect. Speaking of Volta, I know we touched on it at the end of the last show, but I feel like long enough's gone now where we can. I know Boki and Win have kind of already spoke about this briefly, so I'm going to come straight to Ian. Lots of talk of Volta going. You have no idea how true it is, really. It's maybe one brief comment's been said in a meeting, and that's been overheard by the cat who's took it back home and somehow translated that to the owner, who's then tweeted it and been picked up by 7 million people. However, Volta leaving, really, I'm not 100% sure that's a great idea. I think the whole comments from Bayern Munich were just jealousy that they didn't have the money to get him. I know he was our third, fourth choice behind Tiki Sesko, but what's your thoughts on Volta potentially looking at being sold? Personally, I wouldn't cash in on him, and I mean, I don't think we'd make a profit off him at the minute, but Ian, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you've got to wait till after the World Cup before you make any sort of decision. Because I think you go to the World Cup, you play for Germany, you'll score some goals, you look great. Certainly, you can't take a loss on him to get him out of the team. And I haven't seen enough. I don't think they've trained enough with him to know that they can't work out a way of bringing him in. And he's a fabulous player. He is. We saw that. We've seen flashes of how good he is.
I must
So
back myself up
I'd go
legally.
for
That story was not spread by a cat. I'm just making saying how it goes, just in case I get in trouble on radio or YouTube. But carry on, Ian.
I mean, well, they'd make a decision, wouldn't they? If he's great in the World Cup and somebody comes in for a lot more than the 70 million we paid, then you'd consider it, wouldn't you? But I think he's just a young lad. He should be with us for 5 years. He should be
I
should
think
be
he'll
making
come
his
good.
name at Newcastle. Yeah, somebody said they'd rather get rid of Wissa. I think we'd be lucky to get the 30 million that we should have paid for him back.
Yeah, I've changed my mind on Wissa completely.
I haven't.
Honestly, the more I see Mbeumo play for Man United, the more I think Wissa stole a living at Brentford, living off how good he
Well, I
was.
wanted Wissa. Wissa's the one I wanted out
Oh,
of
no.
I
Wissa
wanted
and
Mbeumo.
Mbeumo,
I
and
wanted
I'm
them
starting to
Bremo,
change my mind.
in preference to. I would have taken them both, by the way, but I would definitely Bremo was the one that got away for me.
Mm.
With Walter, there has to be a long-term plan
I agree.
that hopefully that somebody's got in the head for that lad. They knew what type of player they were signing. There's
course
got to
they
be
did.
some. There's got to be something in the mindset of this is why we're signing them. Because if not, then it's just been an absolute disaster spending that much money on a player that does not fit our style of football. So
Mm.
Eddie must be looking to develop his style of football a little bit. I'm hoping.
I think he'll improve. I do think. For me, I think Volta could be an absolute superstar, and that could again get clipped and come back to be horrendous. But I'm quite happy to say that because I think his brain is definitely good enough to play at a very good level. He's definitely got the brain. His feet is fantastic. I think what doesn't help
love his
Volta
feet.
is height. Because he's so tall, everyone expects him to be good in the air. But when he first came, I remember having Keith Downey and every other reporter, and I think even Howe came out and said it, and I think Volta said it in an interview with the Premier League that, funnily enough, aerially is not his best kind of trait. It's his feet and his touch. He's more like a Berbatov, but with height.
Well,
Now,
I likened him to Peter Beardsley, and people said I was crazy.
I don't know about Peter. There's a long way to go to Peter, but I used to call I call him Berber Crouch, right? Fernando Berber Crouch. He's got the hair Fernando Torres. He's got the touch of Berber, and he's as tall as Crouch. So he's Fernando Berber Crouch, and I do think he'll come good. But like Borky said, we've got to start seeing it in terms of maybe not this season. Maybe his first season's a free hit. Let's all remember Isaac's first season. He didn't come in and set the world alight as our record signing. And then he turned into an absolute baller, obviously, and we made a lot of money off him. Now, I personally hope we don't make money off Volta. I love his personality. I love the way he comes across. But I think there's got to be either not necessarily a change in Volta, but maybe a change in style of football we play, or at least a backup plan. And what I think isn't helping him, because early on in the season, I'm going to get your thoughts on this before we leave. We'll only have 5 minutes. I think the reason he was so good early on in the season was because he's a main man. There's nobody else. Wiss is injured. You're going to play no matter what happens. Be free. Express yourself. Do what you need to do. You're not going to get dropped. The issue now is, and again, you have to drop players. I get it when we're not in form, and people will argue that Volta's not in form, and he isn't. He's now getting dropped for Gordon or Wisser, depending on how it's going. It's big in terms of actually, well, what happens now, because he no longer has that security of being the main man. So do you think that has contributed before we sign off? And do you think that's where we almost need to get to again in terms of you are not going to be dropped. You are going to get a run of 6 games. Express yourself. Be free. Have a go. There's another song lyric in terms of be free, but we don't need that one singing. Win, do you think that would help Volta?
I think Irish has got a very good point. Waltz needs 1 season to adapt
I
to
agree.
the Prem. The Rat only scored 10 goals in his first season, and Waltz can get that.
I made that point about Isaac's first season not being good, but we had Wilson to fall back on, and
That's right.
That's where that pressure comes now. We don't have a player to fall back on. Wisser's not quite doing it, but I still think that mentality of I'm guaranteed to play. Wisser's injured, and he's not going to play Gordon through the middle, so I can be really free now. I think that helps him, but we'll see. What do you think, Win?
The Venables Shearer effect, you may say. You're going to be my striker at the World Cup, regardless. When he went on a 12-game scoreless run, I don't know. Ian, you'll remember seeing Chris Waddle, and do you know how lackadaisical he used to look at times? And Walter Mora, to me, has got that Chris Waddle look about him when he kind of lumbers around.
I think he runs hard, though. Or tries.
He doesn't burst, but he ain't got the pace. But that's not his game. That's the point.
Yep.
Waddle had a fantastic body swerve, drop shoulder to get past players.
Volta showed some great feet this season.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
his feet.
One thing I'll guarantee is you'll never see Voldemort playing at Roker Park.
It's a good point.
You
It's
did
impossible.
waddle. No, you
Might
did
end up at the
waddle.
Stadium of Light though.
Let's not talk about that. Come on, let's end it on a positive. Bolty, do you think Volta needs that main man kind of energy to free himself and express himself and not play with shackles, or do you think he just does literally need time?
I think he's a unique player. He's completely unique,
He is, yeah.
and I don't get in my head how you fit. He's good enough to play in any team. I would say he's a good player, but I don't know how you fit him into a team. Is the problem?
Mm.
He's sort of it's a really different. He's not a number 9. Let's face it. He's not ever going to be
I think he
that
could be.
typical. He's never going to be that typical number 9 though.
Mm,
And I think
yeah.
if you play him in that position, you have to develop your full team around him, much like we did with Isaac.
Isaac, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is we're not developing this team around Voldemort. We're developing around the same way we used to play with Isaac.
Mm.
It doesn't work with him. He's a completely different player. It's a really difficult one because there's a player there and he's a brilliant player, but he just doesn't fit into our system.
I think that could be a part of, again, why the form has dropped off a little bit, because we did potentially try and adapt and try new things and, fit them in, and then it didn't work, and we went back to like emergency reset. Gordon goes through middle and we try and do a best Isaac impression and we put the, what happens there. But I think with Volta, I hope he comes good. You hit me on the head there. He's so unique, and I think that's why I love him, and I want him to really succeed, and I want him to succeed at Newcastle, because it would absolutely kill us if he went away and kind of became an absolute baller for somebody else and banged in Champions League
Which
goals.
he would do.
I'd be devastated. You'd think he would, Ian, yeah?
I think he would do that. I mean, he's an absolute baller for Germany, isn't he? He was
Yeah.
top scorer in the under-21 competition last summer. Was it last summer? Yeah, last summer. And Bayern Munich, yeah, they said we overpaid for him, but they were going to pay the best part of what we were going to pay to have him.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich. And they're not, that's a lot of money for them to be taking a chance. They're not just picking a kid up to see how he develops.
We're not at style of club anymore,
They
really.
know that he's got it. We just have to work out how to unlock that. I don't think Wissa coming in and Gordon coming in and the talk that we've got that he's not a number 9, he's a number 10. Howe says he's a number 9. Voldemort thinks he's a number 9. So we've got to play him as a number 9.
It'll be interesting to see.
Put the players around him to allow that.
Yep. It'll certainly be interesting to see. We are unfortunately running out of time, and thank you so much for joining us. I did see a comment there, Kev for President. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I also saw that Volta will do a Miley and put some beef on, but who knows? It might happen in the next pre-season. There it is from Irish Toon Assassin. Again, Becca, thank you. Amazing comments. Lovely to see. But I do have to go. Thank you, Bogey. Thank you, Win. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, all the good jazz. And if you're listening on radio, well done for picking a future award-winning show to listen to before anybody else knew. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And again, you'll see us next time very soon. But once we're in the next round of the FA Cup, you'll hear from me personally. See you later, lads.
The lads.
How are the lads?